the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife, leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 It's black and white. Black and white, just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Black and white. It's black and white.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Porsche Club GB Sim Racing Championship Season 3. We've got a whole new set of drivers, an entirely new format and even a new commentator in the booth, although Chaz will be back sooner than you think, don't worry. My name is Jack Oliphant and alongside me is the ever-present and effervescent sounds of Peter MacKay. Peter, how you doing?
I am very well indeed, Jack, and I must say you're much more kind to me than Chaz is. I mean, he's never called me effervescent before. So that's you one up already. But yes, it's an absolute pleasure to be here back on Simracersworld TV for, I can't believe we're at its third season of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship. I remember when we had 12 cars gathering up for a GT4 race at Lime Rock Park less than a year ago, and here we are for season 3 with 2 full splits. It's going to be absolutely superb, and we've got 8 rounds of the championship, 2 races at each, and we even have 2 classes now as well, Jack. We have the club class and the pro class.
Well, that's the biggest change, really, isn't it, between the 2 seasons? It's not only my voice as well, but the fact that, we have the club and the pro, so there is such an inundation with the amount of people wanting to take part in the Porsche Club GB Sim Racing Championship that they had to split it. And to be honest, I'm all for it, because if anything, it gives everybody more racing to watch and more racing to potentially be involved in.
Indeed, yes, we do. It's very much attractive for the drivers and for the fans, because we now have 2 20-minute races as we did before, but now with 2 classes you have double the action. Now, the drivers are just heading out on track right now for 10 minutes of qualifying. We're looking at Kat Impey on screen right now, the number 32 car driving for Porsche Sport. And now I love the story behind Kat's race number here. It's actually her real race number reversed. Her normal race number is 23. But do you know why it's 23, Jack? It's because that's her favourite order at the Chinese.
I mean, that is... Really? That's the...
It's not. Yeah, that was my reaction when I heard it.
I'll have to rename my my race team into the collection deal for Domino's then instead. to follow along suit. That's madness.
Yeah, it is. And of course, Kat is my co-host on the Porsche Sport podcast as well. So I shall try to maintain impartiality and professionalism.
Well, I mean, that's, I'm sure they'll thank you for that, obviously. And just having a look in the chat, thank you very much, everybody who's tuned in to have a watch of the season opener here tonight. Porsche Sport back on the comments as well. We're obviously having a look at Kat's car now, so might as well give him a bit of a shout out in the chat. Apparently, Luke is racing tonight, as per usual, so it's Paul with his fingers on the buttons. So, Paul, welcome to the chat.
That's Mr. Porsche Sport Senior, the real boss. Paul Holroyd as well. Well, Luke's been super quick in practice. Luke actually fastest of all in the club class, and here we are. Well, we know that Luke is a bit of a wizard with the liveries for Porsche Sport, and that new livery looks absolutely superb. But let's get Luke over the line. He's been the class of the field so far in practice, and he goes quickest, a 110.5 from Luke Holroyd.
Yeah, a Porsche Sport driver who's quicker than Porsche. It doesn't really take much to think that they'd be pretty good in this this category, would it? Who are the drivers that we're potentially having a look out for then, Peter? Who are there some protagonists that if people are new to the series, like myself, in fact, we should be having a watch out for?
Let's have a look at Danny Jones, who's currently sitting in 3rd position as things stand. Now, Danny is very famous for one thing. Oh, he's famous for a few things, but one thing he's particularly famous for here in the Porsche Club of Great Britain is his Haribo cars. And this is a brand new Haribo car that has made its way onto, and I believe that has got some Brumos stripes on it as well. The blue and the red of Brumos Porsche in America with the famous Haribo bear on the front.
Yeah, unfortunately, we cut to it and started complimenting him as soon as he went off the track into the bridge section, didn't it? But yeah, we'll try and dance over that and just appreciate the delightful livery that he's brought to the grid.
Indeed we will, yes. Danny is... Oh, got away. Get the camera off him, Jack. The curse is real from that. So, Peter Brill, here, one of our new drivers in the championship. Great to have Peter joining us. And so, all of the members here in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship are members of the Real World Porsche Club of Great Britain. And, of course, activities for the club have been very much on hold for the last year or so, and that was kind of where the Sim Racing Championship was born from. But the cool thing is that once lockdown, etc., all kind of comes to an end and we get back to normal, the sim racing will continue, which is nice.
It's delightful, you know. Sim racing is a good addition to real life racing. Everybody knows that real life racing is what gets us into motorsport generally. But at the end of the day, if you see sim racing as an addition, as sort of almost complementing real life racing, then it's you know, it starts to be really sort of advantageous, I think, to the whole community. And it's brilliant to have these guys involved not only in the real life but obviously on the sim as well. Just talking about the format a little bit. Obviously, we're watching the club members here. And there is a difference, isn't there? There's the pro members and there's club members. That the pro is going to be a little later, but we've got 2 fast races for the club at the moment, and we're in qualifying, obviously, followed by 2 20-minute races, followed then by another qualifying for the pros, and 2 more 20-minute races. So it's going to be a full night tonight, and there's a way that they've sort of split up the pros and club category that we'll go into a little bit later as well. It's quite interesting how they've done it. As currently, second place is Angus Archer, but he's not out there on circuit, I don't think. Oh, he is. He's coming across the line. Is it an improvement for Angus? No, it isn't. So it's going to be still second place for himself.
Well, it's good that we've just seen Angus on track, because Angus has put up an incredible prize for drivers in the Porsche Club of Great Britain for the safest driver in the field with the least amount of incident points. The safest driver will get a run in Angus's real-world Porsche Club of Great Britain Spec Boxster racer from his company AMS Porsche, who service and refurbish and restore Porsches as well. So a fantastic prize. And, well, Jack, you know firsthand how expensive it is to run race cars. A very, very generous offer indeed.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty much impossible to get into real life racing unless you've got money behind you to start with. So, and even then, it's even harder to stay on the grid once you're even there, to be honest, once you spent that money initially. So it's an amazing prize, and to be honest, a bit gutted that the commentators can't get involved to see if we can get a hand on the wheel as well. But I'm sure whoever wins wins the prize overall, because I think it's split across both categories, isn't it? Because it's the safest prize. I think if you get the least amount of incident points in the club category and you get the least amount sort of overall out of the club and pro, you still have a chance at getting the prize, don't you?
That's correct. Yes, you do. Yeah, so it's going to be there's plentiful opportunity. There's lots to fight for, both for the race wins and I tell you what, that's as a prize to get everybody dreams of it. And a lot in sim racing, a lot of that, you know, if you were to go and drive real world Porsche 911 Cup cars, it's a very expensive endeavor. But here in the sim, you have what amazes me, Jack, is just how impressive this technology is. The fact that you can have this in your own home is incredible. And for anyone who's had a go on iRacing or similar simulators will know what I mean. I mean, to me, it just boggles the mind that you can have something so close to the real thing in your house.
Well, if anything, I'd say a lot of real-life drivers really enjoy it just as much as well, because although, yes, it's quite nice to jump into a real-life car, you know, if you want to try your hand at the Porsche 911, say, you can have a go at the Porsche 911 on the sim, but you can't do that in the real world. And I know from sort of experience of being around the paddocks and everything, to run in the Porsche Carrera Cup is an extremely expensive endeavour, and obviously the cars don't come cheap either. So for iRacing, $14.95 or whatever it is to buy a car. If you want Snetterton, that's £10 as well, 25 quid, and you can just lap this for as long as you want and get involved with fantastic championships like this as well. So I can't rate sim racing enough. Ever since growing into the world earlier in lockdown, I've come to appreciate it more and more than I ever did before.
Indeed, yeah, I think there's been a lot of people like that, from both fans and real-world racing drivers as well, getting a great feel for sim racing. And the globe, what I love as well is the global competition. You know, you've got drivers all over the world competing with one another in real time. It is just extraordinary. So the drivers do have just 3 flying laps for their qualifying. So at the moment, most drivers who are still lapping on track, just getting that last bit of sneaky practice in. Cat Impey being one of those. Also Peter Brill here in his set. Now, what's the sponsor on that? Net Mentor. Everyone communicates. Well, let's hope everyone communicates today out there, Jack, and we don't see too much argy-bargy.
Well, if there is argy-bargy, then we're probably hoping that nobody really does communicate afterwards, because it can sometimes turn a little bit point the finger and finger wag, isn't it, sometimes in sim racing. But we won't see any of that in the chat or anything like that. So as he locks up into the final corner, it's not going to be an improvement, I don't think, from Peter Brill. And as he said, I think some drivers are just using the extra couple of minutes to actually just get some practice around Snetterton, because it's a tricky circuit. Even though we're only doing the 200 layout, not the 300, something we haven't mentioned that much, it's still a tricky circuit, isn't it? Because Coram, Bombhole, and the Brundle and Nelson, the bridge section, as I call it, they're extremely difficult corners to get right.
Oh, massively so, yes. Particularly this car is a bit of a nightmare under braking. It doesn't have an anti-lock braking system, so if you just put that little bit too much brake pressure in too aggressively, the wheels will lock up. Also, trying to get the car to move under braking the way you want it to is sometimes not ideal as well, as we just see qualifying ticking over. So we're about ready to go racing here in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship Season 3. So starting on pole position is Luke Holroyd by half a second over Angus Archer. Amazing performance from Luke Holroyd there. Row 2 will be Danny Jones and Andrew Shepard. Row 3 will be Ollie Carbadine and Andrew Soper, followed by Paul Goffin, Tom Slater, Paul Stout, Carl Hazelton, Heinz Meyer and Kat Impey, rounding out row 6. Jared Coleman will start alongside Mr. Rowe, let's just say. We've got a bit of an error there. Amrik Sashdev will start from 15th, followed by Gilles Gardner, Joao Estevez, Julian Noisy, Mark Elvin, Ryan Penny, Andrew Marston in the Pig, watch out for him, Ralph Meyer in 22nd, Spencer Ayres in 23rd, and Jamie Ward will start from 24th. And just like that, the lights are prepared, we are ready to go, and we are racing for Season 3 of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship. Nice clean getaway there from Luke Holroyd. Watch out for Danny Jones, who's got the inside on Angus Archer, but Angus swooped through to second. But Luke Holroyd through and clean in first.
Yeah, Luke had a fantastic start there, didn't he? I thought Danny Jones was going to be under a little bit of trouble and pressure, but it wasn't to be. Mark Elvin's jumped 7 positions up to 12th place, so we'll have a look and see how on earth he did that a little bit later on in the race. Obviously, it's a 20-minute race, so there's not many chances to actually have a look, but we've had a couple of crashes, and I think down the order, in fact, we have, yeah, so we'll have a quick look at some of the drivers at the rear end of this field.
Yeah, it always gets very, very busy. They're just coming into the Montreal, or now Wilson's hairpin, turning round and then through up onto the back straight. But no such problems at the front. Luke Holroyd is away at the front, got some new rig equipment over the last couple of weeks, so that's obviously working well for the Yorkshiremen. Now, look at that. Now, that is a shiny, what a paint job that is. Tom Slater in the Jameson's Irish whiskey machine. So I wonder if we'll see him wobbling over the track. And oh, we got another booze-related car. Paul Goffin. Oh, dearie me, he did well to hang on to that.
It looked like maybe he had one too many before he came on, didn't it? But I'm sure that's not the case. But it is nice to see that, although in real-life racing you're not allowed maybe some liveries, we can still represent them here in the sim world. Up the inside, it looks like Angus Archer's gone through. Oh, no, he hasn't. Danny Jones is now in the lead. So he's gained 2 positions. We've had a bit of an incident somewhere. Luke Holroyd is all the way down there. He's parked sideways at Wilson.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So Luke Holroyd has, he looked like he was leading so confidently. What happens here? Coming out of Murray's onto the centre straight. That's one you don't really see very much. Holds the brakes, does a great job to keep out everybody's way, and carries on. But he loses a whole load of places. Something else happens here again. Oh, he just loops it. Oh, and causes a little bit of a traffic jam. Carl Hazelton bashes him out the way. We've got somebody up on the grass there trying to avoid, and Luke doing the right thing there by just staying still. The worst thing you can do is move, because that just makes it very unpredictable. So the Haribo Bear, he's got a big smile on his face. He's out front. Danny Jones.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's an advantageous move for him. He also got past Angus Archer as well, Danny Jones. So I'm sure he'll be smiling from ear to ear. It's interesting that probably, as he said, I'm just trying to find him again, to be honest. Whereas Luke Holroyd is all the way down in 15th position, so he's probably feeling like he's got a Tang Fastic in his mouth at the moment. It's not going well for the Porsche Sport poleman.
No, definitely not. But we do know that he has quite a bit of pace on the rest of the field. He was fastest in qualifying and fastest in practice, but fastest in qualifying by half a second. So a big margin. And oh dear, Shrek Donkey there for Spencer Ayres. Oh dearie me, not the buttons. Oh.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. I didn't enjoy, obviously, the contact. Sorry, I was laughing at your commentary there. That's probably quite unprofessional. Yeah, that's a really unfortunate incident. That was right at the start of the race. Obviously, first corner incidents maybe need to get ironed out, but this is only the first race of the season, and this, of course, is the club category. So it's not necessarily the quickest drivers from Season 2, and it's also not the drivers who managed to qualify into the Pro Test. So there are going to be 1 or 2 teething periods, but we're here for the ride on both classes, and we'll try and highlight the best racing out of it all.
Well, absolutely, and make no mistake, we will see similar argy-bargy in the Pro class as well. Everyone get off, and it can be even fiercer at times. But looking at Ollie Carbadine right now, he's got a new livery on his machine. Red Bull gives you wings, it gives you heart palpitations as well, and Tag Heuer as well, another very popular Porsche sponsor as well. Great to see so many throwback liveries on the track here as well as they head up into Brundles, and oh dearie me, hang on, Andrew Shepherd manages to guide his car underneath the bridge there, and I tell you what, I thought that was going to be a big crash, but actually managed to get that one gathered up nicely.
Yeah, Jamie Ward just about managed to keep himself out of the way, didn't he? Because it is one of the more technical areas of this circuit. There's realistically only one line, and if you want to carry on trying to fight for podium positions, which is what Andrew Shepherd is attempting to do right now compared to Ollie in 4th place, then he needs the bag markers to, potently move out the way as quickly as possible. Luckily, no harm done at the moment, but we are looking at what potentially could be a switch for the 3rd place positions as Ollie is going up the inside. No, he's not. That was going to be a very ambitious move if he was going to attempt it there, Pete.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I always think that one of Ollie Carbadine's biggest concerns might be right now, he's in 4th, but behind him in 5th is Andrew Soper. Now, as a Scotsman, Jack, I always get a bit nervous if you have someone with the second name Soper coming up behind you, because I can't think of the word Soper without thinking about Steve Soper and his contact with John Cleland back in 1992.
You're throwing it back right there, aren't you, Pete? It's that is your
never let it go since.
That's your encyclopedic knowledge of racing just absolutely getting thrown out there. It's delightful to be a part of. But to be honest, I don't remember the incident. But Andrew Soper does look like he's got a little bit of pace about him, but he seems to be dropping back from Ollie and Andrew. So maybe if they start fighting between each other, we could see a switch potentially there. But this on board now, well, we're not on board with it. Having a look at the Jameson car, who span off with Luke Holroyd, to be honest, at the 2nd corner a little bit early on. He's in 12th position now, and really hunting down Giles Gardner as well. Actually, we've had another spinner, I think, because a couple of drivers are really falling down the order. I'm not entirely sure where they've ended up, but yeah, just action everywhere you look at the moment in this first race.
Indeed there is, and I tell you what, great to see Carl Hazelton in 8th place, who's had Jamie Ward. Oh, well, he won't be sharing a Coke there. Goodness me. That was rude. Oof. Well, of course, Jamie will likely be a lap down after that earlier incident. I'm not quite sure who that was who bumped into him. It was one of the Wins cars. But anyway, we shall see. Now, I've got a bit of a story about the Jameson Irish whiskey brand that Tom Slater is representing very well here right now, Jack. I remember playing in a golf competition with a guy who worked for the company, and he had a company credit card that as long as he bought the Jameson product, he was allowed to buy anybody a drink they like, as long as it was a Jameson, and we took full advantage of that.
Well, why wouldn't you? It would be rude not to, wouldn't it? I was just curious when you said I've got a story about Jameson whiskey. I was like, is this going to be PG enough for the stream? But luckily, that was a pretty good one. And to be honest, if you didn't, I think everybody in the chat would be having a go at you right now.
Indeed, absolutely. Now, and that's what I was going to say. Carl Hazelton is had a difficult couple of seasons to begin with in the Porsche Club of Great Britain, but running up in 8th right now. And Carl actually works for the Porsche Centre in Chester, so he's automatically Chaz and I's best pal, and he has promised to God help him, to lend Chaz and I a Porsche for the weekend.
I mean, I live around Chester. I can get involved in that, can't I?
All three of us have fit in one of those.
I was going to say, we'll take an SRW trip over to Chester. It'll be nice. They have a couple of nice restaurants once they're allowed to reopen, obviously. It'll be a delightful weekend.
It certainly will. Yes, it absolutely will be a lovely weekend. I used to have a customer when I used to sell booze. I had a customer in Chester, not there anymore, sadly. But anyway, back to the front. Angus Archer is on the move now. Angus, of course, a real-world Porsche Club racer in his spec Boxster, and that livery on his machine is a close replica of his spec Boxster. So you can see some of the Porsche Club sponsors: Pirelli Tire, Petro-Canada Lubricants, and Omologato watches as well. And the owner of Omologato watches actually drives a Porsche GT3 in the real world.
It's fascinating. It is fascinating, your knowledge, your in-depth knowledge of every single competitor. I know it's a commentator's job, but really blowing me away tonight. But the more the point of this race, indeed, actually, Angus Archer is looking like he's got slightly better lap times than Danny Jones, leading up to the last lap that they've just done, where Danny Jones went and stuck in the purple lap time, fastest of the race so far. So at the moment, these two relatively level. And if we're just having a look back down the order, Ralph Meyer and Heinz Mayer are actually the closest little battle we've got going on. It looks like Heinz Mayer is looking up the inside, but it's not to be happening just yet into Ritchie's. Again, it's a difficult overtake to make that, isn't it, into the first corner of here at Snetterton. You really have to be very close alongside. It's not one for the faint-hearted.
No, it is. And of course, you're going through the really, really fast turn 1 there at Rich's, and then you lean on the brakes. It used to be called Montreal, but now called Wilson's, named after the late great Justin Wilson. But it's actually mapped out by, as we see Heinz Meyer having a look here to have a wee thinks better of it. But yes, it's actually Jonathan Palmer who both owns and designed the circuit. He actually mapped out the corners. We see, oh, Heinz Meyer's overcooked it again. Oh, hang on to it. Hang on to it. Hang on to it. Oh, just about. Oh, don't come on the track. Oh, dear me. So, the Wilson's hairpin that was previously known as Montreal, Jonathan Palmer was sitting on a Sunday afternoon watching the Canadian Grand Prix and actually mapped out that corner based on the kind of diameter and the geometry of that corner based on Google Earth.
Really? Google Earth, they managed to do that accurately via Google Earth. All those
shows you how exciting watching the Canadian Grand Prix was. They had time to do that.
I mean, F1, it can sometimes have a little bit of dull moments, can't it? Unlike the racing we're looking at right now, luckily. Couple of shout outs to a few drivers that have really made sort of moves up the order since their starting position. Dave Patching, he's up 7 positions so far, so a really good sort of start from him, shall we say. And in fact, there we go, you can see on the left hand side on your timing tower now that Patching with the 7 positions gained, Marston and Meyer as well, 6 positions gained between those two. And I think that's probably Howe Estev, sorry, he's up 5 positions up to 25th. So some real movers and shakers in this first race, and we've got to do this all again as well in about 9 minutes time. So these guys really have to make sure they're getting their practice in now and getting their racecraft up to try and really push on even in the second race.
Indeed, yeah, there's going to be no time for rest, and great to see Joao Estevez here as well. You can see the Lisbon project on the side of that car, and tell you what, there's been a lot of very, very top drivers from Portugal. One of which is João Barbosa, who was from Porto. Very, very fast driver indeed. Also Philippe Albuquerque, who will be who races with Wayne Taylor Racing for Acura and IMSA. In fact, recent Rolex 24-hour at Daytona winner.
Yeah, really sort of star-studded grids that we've got here tonight, isn't it? It's fantastic to be involved in. And just like to say a quick thank you to everybody in the chat. Yet again, it's been lighting up, which is something we love to see. We're having a look now at Tom Slater. He was having a little fight. Oh, tell you what, pole sitter Luke Holroyd is back in on the action. You said he's got pace. He proved that he's got pace in qualifying, but he's really trying to make his way through the order now. He's up to 10th place and already trying to hunt down Carl Hazelton around the outside, going into Ritchie's potentially. This could be a brave move indeed. In fact, he goes for the cutback. He faked to the outside move, didn't he? And he's gone for the inside into Ritchie's, and that's an example of how to do it. If he can get it stopped for the second apex, that's more key than the first. In fact, he has, and into the hairpin he goes, into 9th place.
Oof, that was a good one. I'll tell you what, it was a firm defence there from Carl Hazelton, but Luke Holroyd planned it beautifully. He does a lot of go-karting, does Luke, and I'm sure he's seen every backyard move in the book and sees them coming. But this is brilliant to see him recovering from that earlier incident, and let's see how many places he can climb up. It's a long season, you know, 8 rounds, 2 races at each round, so 16 races in total. So everyone's going to have their odd little hiccup. So I think it's more how you limit the damage, and that's certainly what Luke is doing right now. And actually, Luke does spends the majority of his time in a team manager role with Porsche Sport, keeping an eye on the gaggle of reprobates that are Ryan Parkins and Gavin Halls and Austin Greatorex, etc. A few of which we'll see in the Pro Class a little later on.
Yeah, good, awesome names there. I've covered a couple of endurance championships with all those names on, but let's go on board for a lap of the Snetterton 200 race here with Luke Holroyd up opposition as he's trying to hunt down Paul Goffin, who is now 9/10 of a second ahead of him. Through Ritchie's then at the second apex is much more important. Down the gears, trying not to over-rotate the rear end, which is what happened to Luke earlier on in the race, which is why he's all the way down. Now, instead of continuing down towards the third corner, you sort of sweep left and carry on the 200 layout on to the straight now and all the way down. It's a long straight, isn't it, Pete? Plenty of opportunities to maybe get a slipstream until you hit the most technical section of the circuit under the bridge.
Yep, we're now going through Brundles and into Nelson's, named after Nelson's column, of course, and now through the bomb hole. Now, there's a very much a myth about the bomb hole. A lot of people think it's because, well, it used to be a World War II airfield and the circuit was actually bombed, or the airfield was bombed. It actually was never bombed. It actually came from the motorcyclists that when racing first began at Snetterton, motorcyclists really didn't like that corner, and they used to refer to it as a bumhole corner. And they thought that maybe wouldn't be fit for broadcast. Oh, too late. And so they called it Bombhole instead.
I was going to say, whenever I'm commentating on Snetterton, you do have to sort of mind your tongue, don't you? The fact that you don't let it slip out. But obviously, we'll just keep calling it Bomb Hole for now, as it was a real catch-up there for Holroyd, wasn't it? Just on the one onboard lap that we had with him, he's caught right up to the back of Paul Goffin. And indeed, his last lap, as he was in clean air, was a good 8/10 of a second quicker than the driver ahead of him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's already up to 8th place by the end of this particular lap. And is he going for the inside already towards Nelson? No. Sorry, it's Brundle, isn't it, the left-hand side? And into Nelson now. It was an ambitious look at the inside, maybe just trying to put off the Martini driver.
Yeah, he's just starting to... I think Luke made a good call there. He was in that 50-50 where he could have maybe lunged up the inside, but he knows he's got good pace. Still got about 4.5 minutes or so left in this race to make his move. And, of course, another long straight to do it. Now, what's interesting is in the last update on the iRacing simulator, the iRacing software developers have actually tweaked the way that the slipstream effect of these cars work. This car specifically, this 911 GT3 Cup, the car in front punches a much bigger hole in the air than it used to, so the slipstream effect is bigger. So what you'll notice on the straight is that Luke will really actually grab in a lot of pace on the car in front of Paul Goffin. So just watch this when he comes out of the slow corner from Wilson's and then onto the back straight, onto the Bentley straight as well, a great British name. And the last Bentley, proper Bentley Le Mans car that won in the early 2000s, they actually developed it here.
Well, I mean, it's got fantastic heritage, doesn't it? I mean, Bentley and all the British circuits, to be honest. So it's not surprising, but it's a good sort of claim for Snetterton to have, really. It's one of those tracks that has really established itself amongst the sort of top tier of national motorsport, shall we say, in terms of the British GT and the British Touring Car Championships as well. And the fans love it, really. It's the only real track of note over that side of England. So everybody flocks to it as much as possible. And if you ever do go on even a British GT weekend, which isn't as popular as the BTCC, then there's just absolutely tons of people there, and it's a fantastic atmosphere. Camping is a really popular sort of thing to do. As we look up Luke Holroyd up the inside of Ritchie's, no, not quite happening against the Martini driver just yet, but again, he's getting closer and closer with back markers in the way. That could really hold up one of the two drivers, and by the looks of it, it's going to hold up Luke more than anything, as the 164 of Goffin has now got past, and all of a sudden, Luke's trying to squeeze around the outside, and indeed, he's going to have this all right. The 88 car, well, hopefully, that is Julian Noisert. Hopefully, he'll just back out and come off the throttle, potentially.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. But then Carl Hazelton not too far behind either, so he will be just smelling a little bit of opportunity here as well. But they get through safely, and well, Paul Goffin, he has been shaken, but he has not been stirred so far by Luke Holroyd. Oh, that's a cheap gag. That's terrible. Uh,
It's almost too easy, that one.
It was, that was too cheesy. That was cheesy. That was, but you would have a little block of cheese as a little appetizer with your martini. I do like a martini cocktail, I have to say. A vodka martini is just, perfect. Absolutely perfect. And martini and Porsche are just, they are aligned at the hip, really. Helmut, now you'll like this one, Jack. Helmut Marko and Gijs van Lennep won Porsche's second ever outright win at Le Mans in 1971 in the early 917, and that was with Martini sponsorship all over the car.
Well, like you said, they're pretty much joined at the hip throughout history. That driver is off on the middle of the circuit. I'm not entirely sure who that was. Gregory Butterworth, I believe. Let's just have a quick look and see how he ended up there. Is it a little bit of a tap? Is it an over rotation? Ooh, there's potential for a little bit of contact. And then how does he just goes forward and turns right and decides that he's not entirely sure how he's going to get back on this circuit, I think.
Yeah, he's kind of thinking, what do I do here? Well, that's the wrong way. Oh, dear. We've all been there. You just kind of look. Oh, Julien Noiset's off. So he's spun on the exit of the bomb hole, or on the exit of Nelson's. But, back towards the front. Then Danny Jones still leads. Ollie Carbadine into third. Angus Archer's dropped back to fourth at some point. And Andrew Shepherd up into second. So it looks like there's some problems have hit Angus Archer there as well. So, a win gone begging.
Yeah, just having a look. Is this Angus Archer having a bit of a problem going through under the bridge? And that might be why he's dropped behind down into fourth place. In fact, there we go. I think that's Ollie going through. So that's potentially the incident that's caused him down to fourth.
Looks like it. Yeah, looks like it. So Ollie Carbadine, he'll say thank you very much and moves up into the podium places. So always good to get a strong result in right out the gate. And but still, Luke Holroyd's kind of hit of a bit of a logjam here with Paul Goffin. Oh, they rub on the Bentley straight. Gee whiz. Oh, and you see Paul Goffin goes for the wider entry. This is going to get... Oh, dear. Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Luke Holroyd into the wall. And... Oh, dear, oh, dear. But the checkered flag is out. Danny Jones in the Haribo car. Kids and grown-ups love it. But so does Danny Jones. Brilliant drive from the pilot of the number 5 Porsche. Andrew Shepherd in second, followed by Ollie Carbadine, Angus Archer, and Andrew Soper coming in fifth. And, well, Jack, that was eventful.
Yeah, quick apologies about missing Danny Jones coming across the line. That was so hooked on the race between Luke Holroyd and the other driver, Paul Goffin, that I was just keeping an eye on the timing there. But you're right, Danny Jones does come across the line to take the overall victory in race number 1. And remember, we've got an entirely other race to come, another 20-minute extravaganza on its way pretty much straight after this one. In fact, we don't even have time for interviews, do we? And we'll just wait to bring you up the results for the final time, because obviously there's a couple of drivers left to finish, and iRacing doesn't like to give us the full rundown until everybody's crossed the line. But what a race, Pete. It's been fantastic to see Danny Jones obviously taking advantage of a few drivers falling off the track. Whether it was their own fault or not is yet to be seen, but it was good to see.
Absolutely, a great drive for Danny, a driver who's been in since the very beginning of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship. So brilliant to see him get a win in the first ever race for the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Club class. And he will forever have that, a bit like how Scotland were the last ever Five Nations rugby champions. Yeah,
indeed. And we're just going on a little bit of a warm-up now before the second race of the evening. So we will bring you the full rundown of race 1. Danny Jones, confirmed race winner here for the heat number 1 at the Porsche Club GB Season 3. Andrew Shepherd was in second place, and Ollie Carbadine was rounding out the podium for the first race this evening. Angus Archer ended up in 4th place after that off, with Andrew Soper in 5th. Paul Stout, Slater, Goffin, Hazelton, and Rowe is in 10th place. And Estevez, Gardner, Holroyd, Penny, Marston rounds out the top 15, with Patrick, Elvin, and Sandev in 18th place. And then a little bit further down, I'll let you finish them off, Pete.
Yep, so Ralph Meyer was 19th alongside Heinz Meyer. I wonder if they're father and son or brothers. I shall need to get my thinking cap on and try and find out. Peter Brill was 21st, followed by Julien Noiset, Jared Coleman, Gregory Butterworth, Spencer Ayres, Kat Impey, Jamie Ward, and Paul Harrington, rounding out the 28 cars of this new club class here in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship. So the drivers at the moment are out for 5 minutes of warm-up, which they can is completely up to them if they wish to use it. It's not compulsory. But as you can see, there are many takers out on track right now, and I always find certain drivers prefer to just get as much mileage as they possibly can, but Jack, I have to say, I quite like getting up, stretch my legs, have a quick drink, and maybe go have a visit to the gents.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always something that I have to, even when I'm lining up on the grid in real life, to be honest, I'm thinking, how long is it going to be until I can go to the toilet? I should have done that before I went, and that's exactly what I'd be doing right now, probably, I imagine. But there is something to be said for trying to keep the momentum up around. Obviously, if you've just been in a race and you're going straight into another one, you know, try and keep those lap times coming. Maybe remember what it's like on cold tyres and all this sort of thing. But a lot of drivers are so relaxed, so nonchalant that they just think, you know what, I'll just get some chocolate, maybe a drink, and we'll just crack on and race 2, see what happens.
Indeed, yeah. And of course, race 2, we have our reverse grid, and completely reversed as well. So the Danny Jones, our winner from race 1, will have to start all the way at the back. And Jack, when you throw a reverse grid into things, that changes. I mean, obviously it changes the grid order massively, but the dynamic and the strategy really comes into it. And we saw this over the last 2 seasons of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship, where Ryan Parkins, our double champion, he really won the championships in race 2 by staying out of trouble and picking his way through the field cleanly, while others fell by the wayside.
Well, it's a skill in itself, to be honest. I was never really very good at reverse grid racing. I didn't mind after qualifying, obviously qualifying around the top 5, and then just race on there. And as soon as you're sort of put towards that mid-pack, in any grid, it doesn't matter what grid you are, it could be F1, and you will still have that little bit of a voice in the back of your mind thinking, this could get a little bit messy, because it only takes one driver to forget or to make a mistake that they were maybe on cold tyres and they haven't quite warmed everything up properly, and all of a sudden they get their rear end loose, they go into someone else, and there's a huge pile-up. With any luck, that won't happen, but these Porsches are notoriously difficult to drive with heavy rear ends as well. So, you know, fingers crossed. These are, well, they're the club championship, but they've entered. So hopefully they've done plenty of practice and know exactly how one of these cars gets off the line.
They do, yes. That's the one thing is with the club here in the PCGB is that there are so many great opportunities to get track time with your fellow competitors, and of course we have every 2 weeks now we hold the official races, but on the off week the drivers get together for the track walk, where they get tips from some of the faster drivers in the pro class and trying to bring everybody up to speed, and it's been incredibly successful, and of course allows everyone to get to know each other rather than just oh, that guy in that Haribo car took me off last week. You actually get to know the person behind the wheel.
Yeah, it's a brilliant idea, to be honest. One that I wasn't aware that they did, but I think that's the only championship that I know of that actually implements something like that. So a really great sort of inclusive measure that the Porsche Club have managed to put on there. So big up for them. Really good. We've just hit 5 minutes now, so we should be able to get you the grid coming up sooner rather than later. What are you expecting, Pete, going into the second race? More of the same, or a little bit of carnage? Well, you know, who maybe to keep an eye out on as well?
Well, the reverse grids can often be quite, should we say, attritional. So I think it's up to the drivers to really just take their time here. A lot of the drivers at the front haven't been used to that, but we'll see. I think you're really going to watch out for Luke Holroyd, who didn't finish where he would like to after putting it on pole. He would be my favourite for this one.
Yeah, so as we quickly look at the grid, it's Harrington on pole, followed by Ward, Impey, Ayres, Butterworth rounding out your top 5, with Jared Coleman in 6th place, Neuser, Brill, Meyer, and Meyer rounding out the top 10, by Sedchev and Elvin in 11th and 12th. And the second row of the grid, you can see there 13th down is Patching, Marston, Penny, Holroyd, Gardner, Estevez, Rowe, Hazelton, Goffin, Slater, Stout, and Soper in 24th position. And then last but not least is Angus Archer, Carverdine, Shepherd, and Jones, our race 1 winner, all the way down in 28th position. So like Pete said, a full reverse grid, and we're about to get underway, Pete.
Yep, we are ready to go. The lights begin to illuminate, and out they go. We are off here at Snetterton, and oh, it's a good start for Cat Impey on the front row of the grid. Jamie Ward just gets it a little bit loose. Cat's got the inside line going into turn one. It looks like got a wee bit of contact behind, but oh, they try side by side there through Riches down towards Montreal, and this is where it's going to get very busy. Long braking zone, somebody off there in the background, but looks like Cat's going to get it in tight. There she goes. Yep, and Cat Impey heads to the lead.
Yeah, I think we've had a huge incident on the start-finish line, reminiscent of, I think it was Ollie Jackson at the 2018 British Touring Cars Championships. In fact, we'll stick to that in a minute, because we're going 3 wide into Brundon and Nelson, and they've got cars up ahead of them who are going to really get in the way. I'll be amazed if there isn't any contact at the moment. This is Sadchev going into the corner and actually getting away with no contact there by the looks of it. Mark Elvin in the Michelin car was the driver who really became sort of out on top of that one. He gained 7 positions going into the bridge section. Well, not just going into the bridge section, but since the start of the race. Luke Holroyd is also getting 7 positions. We were looking at him just before. He's already into the top 10. I'm sure he'll be thinking that he can catch up to the race leaders sooner rather than later.
Now, interestingly, we've lost. I don't see Cat Impey on our timing screen, who of course got into the lead, but has now appeared to have disappeared. Something's gone on here. Coming into Brundle's and then into Nelson's. Oh, Cat just goes in a little bit deep and goes onto the grass, puts the brakes on, and she is out of the race.
That's a very curious incident. Maybe a hardware failure going on for Cat Impey there. Either way, it's a real shame. Luke Holroyd is now going wheel to wheel with... Oh, no, that's gutting for Pete Brill. As I've just tried to catch it, but it's not quite caught, just like Pete Brill, I guess. Unfortunately, going round, and I think Andrew Marston's got involved with that as well. So Holroyd is now up to 8th position. And I tell you what, everywhere you look, there's absolutely massive amounts of overtaking going into pretty much every single corner. Paul Goffin in the Martini car, we focus on him a lot, but this is Ryan Penny who's trying to chase him down. And they've got Paul Stout and then Mark Elvin who's off. Elvin out on the outside, almost in the kitty litter. If Snetterton did have kitty litter. It's just everywhere you look, Pete, there's just racing and moves being thrown up the inside of every single position.
Yeah, there is indeed. Ryan Penny with a little bit of damage on that beautiful International Martini Racing Team car. The early days of Martini and Porsche, when they, tell you what, it looks like the car that they won the Targa Florio in 1973 with Gijs van Lennep and I think it was Helmut Muller as well, who was his co-driver. But anyway, back at the front, Jamie Ward, much more like it for Jamie in the Coca-Cola machine, and he has got, now that's a scare. Now that is, if that's designed to scare, it works. That number 21 car of Spencer Ayres, you've got Shrek looming in your mirror. That's a scary thought. A green-eyed Scotsman.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's never ogre when Shrek's around, is it? As he's going around the outside. This is going to be very tight. How have they not made contact? But he's gone through. It really does look like Shrek is shouting at you, doesn't it? With the front nose cone of that Porsche, with the front grille coming right at you. Now, obviously, Ward has got the eyes of Shrek looking directly at him. And just for the sake of appreciating the livery, let's go on a little bit of a nose cam with Jamie Ward, as he has slotted now into 2nd place. Ayres taking the lead, and that's very wide by Ward, and he's gone round as we're on board with him.
Oh, just got onto the sand on the exit of Murray's Corner, named after the great Murray Walker, and Jamie Ward, oh, it was going so well, but Luke Holroyd, our pole sitter in race 1, hit problems early on. He's up to 5th position, so a much smoother run of things so far for Luke. Julien Noisy next up ahead, and Amrik Sashdev up to 3rd position. Now, Amrik, you'll notice the 360 on the side of his car. Now, that doesn't mean how many times he spins. It's actually 360 Financial Management, which is his company.
Some people really bringing the liveries out to entertain, like Spencer Ayres with the Shrek, and obviously some people treating it a little bit more realistic, as Julian has gone straight off. That was a very curious incident there, wasn't it? I'll see if I can get a bit of a replay of that one. It was a bit of an odd one, to be honest.
Yeah, it seems that the typical 911 crash here, you can see the pendulum effect. The car just gets away and boof right into the wall, and that is going to be Julien Noisé's day more or less over. Yep, he's back in pit lane. So Spencer Ayres our leader then, with number 64 of Coleman in second with the colour. I always think of those colours as the West Indies cricket team, but of course it's not. It's Aston Villa Football Club.
It is indeed, yes. Yeah, Aston Villa currently in second place. If only they were like that in real life, I'm sure there'd be a very happy fan base. But yeah, at the moment in second place, although he's gone into first as Ayres has gone right off the course. And he's really dropping. He's all the way down in fourth place now as he's rejoined. Butterworth has had a massive incident. Oh no, he's gone into the pits, Butterworth. But that's really unfortunate for Spencer Ayres, isn't he? He's going to have to try and do all that hard work again. In fact, he may well be able to try and follow Luke Holroyd, now at 13 positions, into third place. But if we're giving a shout out to drivers who have gained the most amount of positions, it's got to be this man. We may have missed him going across the line to take his first win of the season, but Danny Jones has gained 18 positions up to 10th place now. Obviously started right at the back of the field in 28th. So a real big improvement for Danny Jones here in this one, with Ollie Carverdine, who I'm pretty sure was on his roof at one point, but I could be mistaken. I probably am mistaken, otherwise he wouldn't be up to 11th place.
Oh, he wouldn't, of course. It started all the way at the back, so both Danny and Ollie, and actually Andrew Shepherd, who's just a couple of cars back as well, they've done a super job to get through the field and with very, very little damage on the car. So, it's a bit of a messy start. Oh, God, you could say that again. My word, João Estevez getting sent into the nearest potato field, which is never far away in Norfolk. And, oh dear, that was, it just looked like there was a bit of a domino effect there. One car checked up, then another checked up, and Danny Jones, a little bit late on the brakes, and he's lost it. Oh dear, Jamie Ward carries on, but Danny Jones just a little over eager on the brakes there, and his perfect day becomes a little bit less so.
Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised that he went so hard into that corner. It didn't look like he was quite there, but sometimes you're going to pick your braking point, and unfortunately, if you just don't get the car stopped, you may have just misjudged it completely, and Danny Jones misjudged it completely there, we could say. Unfortunately for him, he's now down to 11th place. I don't think there was any harm done to the car that he careered into, luckily, but it's obviously not gone his way so far. He's already back up to 10th, but let's see how quick he can get now. He's got some clean air in front of him.
Indeed, yeah, and I tell you what, at the moment, Jared Coleman, he is really cutting the mustard right now, up in the lead with Amrik Sachdev up to second, chasing down the Aston Villa Football Club backed machine. So, this is it's intriguing stuff, isn't it? Luke Holroyd is 4 seconds off the lead, 3 seconds off Amrik Sachdev, but Luke has had the pace so far in this race, and really over the meeting so far. So this is going to be a fascinating one, Jack, to see if Luke can run them down. But running them down is one thing, getting by is quite another.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult rounds here at Snetterton. You could say there's probably overtaking opportunities in nearly every single corner, but there's also real big opportunities to actually defend into each corner as well and make it really difficult. I mean, we saw Luke really try and get past the Martini driver earlier on, but it just didn't happen. He was stuck behind him for about 3 or 4 laps, and all of a sudden the race ends and you haven't progressed anymore, even though we had such good pace underneath him in the car. Andrew Soper, is really close to the back of Mark Elvin, who we saw have a good start, gained 7 positions originally. He was already up to around about the top 5, but then obviously went off at Nelson, so he's really dropped back, and now it's a fight to try and get into the top 15. But Andrew Soper, this is actually probably the closest battle that we've got out on the circuit, although Jamie Ward and Danny Jones are going back at it now. Is this going to be a repeat as they go into Ritchie's? Jones hasn't learned his lesson. Yes, he has. I thought he was going to fly the inside and back into the side of the Coca-Cola car, but he's probably going to have another go going into the same place, and it looks like Jamie Ward is going defensive. And in fact, there we go. Jones doesn't try it back up the inside yet.
Yes, he's like, I've seen this one before, Danny, with that Harry Bobert flying up the inside and leaving his mark on the door of the Coca-Cola. I tell you what, it's a sugar rush going down the Bentley Straight here with Coca-Cola and Harry Bobert's as well. Now, Jamie Ward taking an unusual line here into Brundles and Nelson's, but keeps Danny Jones at bay, so he's very much on the defensive here, is Jamie Ward, and Danny Jones is going to have to get creative here to try and find his way through. But Danny is, of course, last season he had a Martini and Haribo combination. He's now got Brumos and Haribo combination. So we love the blend of the liveries that Danny comes up with.
Yeah, I mean, I do love it. It's always worth a shout out when drivers really do try and put their mark on the liveries, isn't it? I mean, when they put the real effort in, and you find that as soon as they start becoming broadcasted, a lot of drivers put a lot more effort into the liveries to try and get obviously a bit of a shout out on the stream, or to impress people who may be watching, who may be tuning in to see them. It's up the inside. Is going to Danny Jones there again? No, and this is what we were talking about, isn't it? Luke Holroyd. Oh, a little bit of a touch there. Luke Holroyd, he may have the pace, and in fact, he's got really good pace still up towards the front of the order. You can see him here. The gap is coming down. 1.9 seconds. He's already gained a second with 10 minutes to go. But just like Danny Jones, it's not always that easy. As Jones, however, is now up the inside into the bridge section, and he's got the move done and dusted by the looks of it.
He has indeed. But bad news for Danny Jones. The car up ahead, Ollie Carwadine, is the fastest car on circuit. He's just set the all-time fastest lap of the race, 1:10.9, even quicker than Luke Holroyd. Next, he's got Ryan Penny up ahead, and I have to say that is properly accurate and very, very clever. International Martini Racing Team there, that 911. Exactly like we would have seen on the Targa Florio 911. Absolutely beautiful. And then you've got the modern Ollie Carwadine with the Red Bull car. But there's a bit of a battle going up ahead with Angus Archer moving into 5th position at Wilson's. He gets the job done, and contact. Oh, it's been Wilson's hairpin. It's been such a hot spot for contact so far. I wonder if the state will apply in the pro race.
Well, obviously, we're hoping that it's going to still be close racing, but with any luck, we'll see maybe slightly less incidents going into there, obviously. It's one of the heaviest braking zones on the circuit, so it's understandable that people really want to try and have a big overtaking opportunity into there. Obviously, the last corner out of Coram is a very big braking zone indeed, but the car is so on edge, and especially these Porsches, which just love to rotate the rear end. It's really difficult to get the car stopped, so even more tricky to fly up the inside of someone else while trying to get the car stopped. So it's not surprising that Wilson is a bit of a death trap for some of these drivers, but hopefully in the pro race, you know, we will see some good overtakes flying up the inside and outside there. And I think Ryan Penny's coming into the pit, and so is Hans Meyer. So a couple of drivers coming into the pits. Maybe the damage is too much for them to carry on.
Yeah, they do look pretty torn up, those cars, so come in to get repairs. What that means, that puts Amrik Sashdev up into the lead. Go on, Amo. Amo, one of our stalwarts of the championship. I remember one time where he'd had a particularly difficult day. Look at that draft on the... Oh, boogity, 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 Amo. Brilliant. Up the inside he goes. I remember one day Amrik had a particularly difficult day, and his comment after the race was, maybe I'll just go back to playing golf.
I mean, golf is equally as infuriating, surely.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is. Now, Jack, we have actually got this. We know that the Porsche Club of Great Britain is going somewhere when we've got groupies in the chat. So, Ryan Randall says, saying to Spencer Ayres, so I don't know if we can get a message down to Spencer Ayres' car, but anyway, Ryan says, if you get second, Spencer, then Bells will dance for you. Wonder who Bells is. If you come first, then I will dance for you.
Oh my. I was going to say, there's some freaky stuff that's going on down in this household, isn't there, by the looks of it? But at the moment, Spencer Ayres isn't actually going to get anybody to dance for him, is he? Maybe he could just go off and re-watch Shrek although having said that, the side of his car looks a little bit funky as well, doesn't it, with the relationship between Donkey and Shrek there. But with any luck, we'll all keep it PG here tonight with Mark Elvin and Paul Stout nice and close.
Indeed, there is another sub-story as well going on, because Luke Holroyd in third is chasing down Jared Coleman in second. Now, Jared Coleman in the Aston Villa car. Luke Holroyd, a very big Leeds United fan. In fact, I believe Luke, he certainly used to do the social media for Leeds United, if I'm not mistaken. But he's certainly a huge fan either way. And, well, here we go. He's probably thinking, right, you're getting it. You're getting it, number 64.
It looks like, I'm sorry, I'm just having a giggle at a little bit of more of the chat, to be honest, but we will focus on the racing for now, because we are on almost minute 15 out of the 20, and all of a sudden, Pete, the front race has really come alive, hasn't it? And we were saying before, Luke Holroyd it's difficult to get past. It may be easy enough for him to catch up to someone, but getting past him is a different story, although Leeds obviously are quite used to putting things past the opposition. Let's see if he can do that against Aston Villa here.
Indeed, yep. So this is the showdown here at Snetterton. Luke Holroyd pulls out of the draft. He's got along side by side with Jared Coleman. Is Jared going to put up much of a fight? No. He rolls aside and allows Luke Holroyd through. Now, 4.5 minutes to go. Amrik Sashdev versus Luke Holroyd here for the win in the club class here in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship Season 3. And I can tell you something, Jack. Amrik Sashdev, he will defend this position with all he's got.
Yeah, I mean, Coleman surprised me slightly there. He didn't really put up any kind of meaningful fight against Luke Holroyd, who has now really dropped the Aston Villa man. So all of a sudden, it's going to be Holroyd easily taking at least second place here, unless there's a little bit of contact, which obviously, fingers crossed, there won't be. But into the last 4 minutes we go. And to be honest, looking at Luke Holroyd's lap times, obviously he overtook someone last time out, but his fastest lap time is 0.4 of a second quicker than Amrik's. So, I mean, I don't hold up much hope for Sadchev's opportunity for, you know, just driving away from Holroyd. But if he puts up a staunch defence, you never know, do you? We could be seeing another race victor here, although I'm sure Holroyd will be a bit annoyed that he's qualified pole. Had such a poor first race, and he hasn't come away with a race win if he doesn't get it here.
Well, that adds a little bit of extra spice to it as well. Well, Spencer Ayres has responded. The last lap around, he set his best lap of the race, so clearly he's keen for getting that dance, whoever he gets it from, as well. We also have a revelation of who Bells is. Bells is George's nan. I'm sure she's a very good dancer, though.
Oh yeah, I'm sure she is. A little bit of a tango, or there's a driver off the road there. Who was that? Who was that?
Ryan car.
Yeah, it looked like it was. So a bit of a gutting end to the race for him there. But yeah, a little bit of a tango, I'm sure, for Spencer if he can get a wiggle on. He has put his fastest lap time in, but fortunately, he's a good 10 seconds back from ever getting the opportunity to get that dance. So, although he's having a right good fight with Angus Archer, who's all of a sudden sort of caught up to the back of him. However, we've got to focus on the race lead, haven't we? Because Holroyd is now going to the outside under the bridge section. Is he going to try and get that cutback? He's trying, but there's no room for it at the moment. It's such a narrow bit of tarmac, this. And realistically, it's all about exit rather than entry, I'd say. Because now you go through bomb hole, not quite flat in these cars. In fact, definitely not flat in these cars, and round Coram. And if you can line it up, this is where you start maybe trying to get the driver in front to make mistakes go offline and try and get the start-finish straight nailed in towards Ritchie's. That's a big opportunity for an overtake. Sadchev getting a little bit tighter onto the entry there into the final corner, and that's allowed Holroyd to carry a lot of speed. And this is it, Pete, going towards Ritchie's.
Oh, this is going to get busy now as well. Amrik Sashdev knew that Luke Holroyd had the draft, but holds the inside line now. He's going to get the cutback now. Has Luke got a bit of a look in? Amrik Sashdev goes to the inside. He's going to have to go the long way around. Very, very difficult to do. And Amrik Sashdev loses on the brakes. They've got lap traffic to deal with as well. And that has been Christmas come early for Amrik Sashdev. And that's given a look at that. He boogies his way down onto the Bentley straight. And it's going to be one lap to go when we come over the line.
Pete Brill, yeah, just completely sat on the apex, to be honest. He was, I don't know whether he was trying to move out the way of the other drivers. It looks like he's had a crash on my replay counter, so I don't think it was entirely his fault that he was just parked there. It wasn't like he was just thought that would be a good place to get out of the way of the leaders. But you're right, I think Sadchev got slightly away with it, although I think he probably hit the brakes, then all of a sudden realised there was a car on the apex, so he it looked like he went wrong and went carried straight on. And then Holroyd, obviously, he was a bit blindsided. But look at this now, Holroyd taking an awfully wider line there, and Sadchev looking defensive into the final corner. I'm not entirely sure he needed to do that. It's really hurt him onto the start-finish straight. We're across the line now to potentially, well, we are on to the final lap of the race. Sadchev going defensive into Ritchie's. Holroyd trying to go around the outside. Now, Holroyd tried to make a move on the Martini driver in the first race, and on the last lap, it all went wrong for him. Can he do one better here? And it would be, in fact, it would be an awfully lot better because it's for the race lead.
Look at that from Amrik. Sastev as well, just tucked it in really nice and tight to the apex, but Luke Holroyd's got a great move here. We're on the final lap at Snetterton. Amrik Sastev on the inside, Luke Holroyd on the outside. Now remember, this is a left-right chicane coming up here from Brundles into Nelson's. Luke Holroyd quite early on the brakes, but goes to sling it around the outside and gets the inside line. They touch. Amrik versus Luke Holroyd. They go into the bomb hole side by side. Jared Coleman's in there as well, so if they come together, he'll be ready to take it. But Luke Holroyd gets the inside. He's got the position at the very final sector here at Snetterton. Can he hang on for one more corner? Luke Holroyd hits the front now when it matters, comes out of Brundles and onto the centre straight. Luke Holroyd will be your winner for Porsche Sport in the club class of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship, with Amrik Sastev a fantastic second and Jared Coleman in third. Jack, what brilliant motor racing.
I can only imagine the adrenaline that is coursing through the veins of Holroyd and Sadchev right now, and probably Coleman as well, because he saw a race victory, I reckon, there, going into the final couple of corners, going under the bridge and everything like that, because all of a sudden, Holroyd and Sadchev, Holroyd throwing it around the outside, under the bridge, and trying to get the apex for the right-hander. I've seen that move happen plenty of times in real life, and it's always ended in disaster. One time it ended in disaster, and that gave me a race win. But, no, that's by the by. It didn't give Coleman a race lead that time, because Holroyd hung it so well and got the braking done so well. And to be fair, Sadchev, that was great respect and great racing room left for both of them.
Oh man, absolutely brilliant from both that, because to battle like that and clean is so difficult, and it was brilliant respect from both. And also Jared Coleman's probably watching this going, he's probably rubbing his hands right now going, oh yeah, I like the way this is going, oh yeah, here we go, here comes some contact. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is respect. If they made contact, it would have been incredibly minor, maybe just a little, yeah, just a tiny, yes, okay, the tiniest of rubs, and that sends Amrik that little bit wide, and Luke Holroyd gets the run. So, but all fair, Jack, it can happen, but wow, what a finish.
It was brilliant, wasn't it? I'm all about that. It's exactly what we come to racing to see. So we're really happy that we've managed to actually catch that on camera as well, and I'm sure they'll be watching that back, really enjoying the replays. Maybe Sadchev a little bit gutting that he didn't go a little bit hotter into the first apex and try and forcing Holroyd to go a little bit wider on the exit maybe. But you know, here it's so close, and just like you said, it's all about respect, isn't it? So it's brilliant to see them with that much pace. And not only have we just had the two 20-minute races, we've got another two 20-minute races with an entirely new cast of characters as well for the Pro Series coming up sooner rather than later. We will have to jump to a short break, but I think, Pete, I don't think we're going to do interviews just yet, are we? But we will bring up the results for the second race of the evening. Oh, no, that's the first race of the evening. Give me 1 minute. There you go, Pete. Take us through it.
There we are indeed. So confirming Luke Holroyd as your winner by 0.8 of a second from Amrik Sastev and Jared Coleman in third. Angus Archer was fourth, followed by Ollie Carwadine, Spencer Ayres, Danny Jones, Carl Hazelton, Andrew Shepherd, Paul Stout, Jamie Ward, Gilles Gardner, Ralph Meyer, Andrew Soper, Andrew Marston, Tom Slater, Mr. Patching, and Heinz Meyer in 18th. David Patching in the DP Sauce car. There we go. In 19th was...
Sorry. There we go.
was... Now, hold on 1 second here. Folks, Mr. Rowe, your first name is not coming up for some reason.
Michael Rowe. Yeah, Michael Rowe. Apologies there.
Oh, Michael Rowe, my apologies. With Mark Elvin in 20th, followed by Paul Goffin, Ryan Penny, Peter Brill, Julian Noisy, Gregory Butterworth, João Estevez, Kat Impey, and Paul Harrington. So we are going to take a very short break here on Simracersworld TV. We will be right back. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back with the Pro Class.
Sounds of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. But crying dove may never fly. It's black and white. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. It's black and white. No more. Black and white, just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. Just let me go. It's only right. For all I know.
Hello everyone and welcome back. This is a bit of a tight time of it, so I'm going to bring in Pete MacKay because we are about to go racing for the first time. We're already 1 minute and 40 into this session, so if you're still there, there's no time to lose. 10 seconds, Pete, are you there? Pete doesn't look or sound like he's there. So as the lights go on, it's Jacob Toss on the front row of the grid with Dorrington in second place. As the engine notes rise, the lights come on, and we're away for the first time in the Pro category here at Snetterton 200. We've had some fantastic club racing, and now we're going into the Pros as Tufts leads the way. The front three are unchanged, but everyone else has pretty much decided that they're going to jump around, and we're so quick into this. Apologies that there's a few white cars flying about there because we're just loading the liveries in. That's how close we've had to go as the Porsche Sim Spa of Jacob Toff still leads the day. Matt Dorrington in second place. Dan Bathy in third place. Austin Greatorex has moved up one position. He started in fifth. He's now up to fourth. So the Porsche Sport drivers really strutting their stuff here in the Pro Race Heat 1. And with any luck, Pete MacKay will be back with us. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that. Pete is with us at the moment, but we will obviously introduce him as soon as we can. Where else are we looking at the moment? Jacob Toss leading the way really well. And obviously we didn't give a chance to grab up the grid order. But a few drivers that have really pushed themselves through the order so far. Paul Cole in this little bit of a harsh mix here. And Christian Saruta in the Braun livery Porsche. I loved the Braun back in the day. The old Jensen Button looking livery car. And I have to say, Christian, that is looking absolutely mega. So if you had just caught us, we are of course into the Pro category now. Obviously the Cup and the Pro were separated with the inundation of entries that we've had this evening. And Austin Greatorex has gone through. That's because Dan Bathy is off the track. Dan Bathy on the Porsche Club GB grid has gone all the way over to the wrong side of the track, and I believe Pete MacKay is in the chat now.
I am back. Yes, I am back, and we are off already here for the Pro Class. So there's no rest at all here in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship, and action so far.
Yeah, action all over the place. To be honest, obviously Jacob Toss still leading the way from Dorrington, but Bathy really falling down the order. A couple of drivers, as I said, Paul Cole is up 5 positions. Stuart Clark right at the battlefield. back of the field, up to 22nd now. He's gained 6 positions. Oh, there's a car off the road there. Chris Byram, that was. Really don't know what happened to it. We'll see if we can have a look at what happened to Chris Byram. It looked like an over-rotation, the classic 911 crash. And indeed it was, going through Coram as, oh, he got very lucky that he didn't actually collect anyone else there. Really good sort of evasive driving, I'd say, probably by everybody else. So we've had a couple of incidents, and let's see if we can have a little bit further back. There's Dan Bathy, actually, was the first incident we had out on circuit. So a good start, good clean start for the majority of the drivers. Having said that, I think there was another off, and Mark Johnson's looking the wrong way. Indeed, he is in the Bombardier-looking livery. So we're getting the alcohol flowing around here, aren't we? And in fact, there's a few more drivers. Stephen Kershaw and Steve Futures off for the track.
Indeed, yeah, we do like our booze here in the Porsche Club of Great Britain, clearly. Oh, no, just close the competition now. There's a Momo car. Who's in the Momo car?
The Momo car, I believe, is that Chris Bowie, the driver behind? No, that's not Momo.
It is, Stephen Harpham is coming up as a Momo car for me.
Indeed, he is. So, yes, Steve Harpham in the Momo, not doing them a brilliant justice at the moment. Only up 2 positions, he's up to 22nd. But this is the Pro Class all of a sudden. Things get a little bit harder, don't they, Pete?
They do indeed, yeah. This is very, 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 very busy here in the Pro Class as well. Just one up ahead of Stephen Harpham. We have Mark Phillips, the Bernie Eccleston of Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing. Mark is the boss of the championship and organises everything, and he's running in his usual whereby colours. And if you're a business owner or basically trying to coordinate your staff to communicate from home, then you do get in touch with the folks at Whereby. Very, very fancy video conferencing software. But you'll need to communicate with Stephen Harpham right now, saying you might have a fancy livery, but I don't want you to go by.
He's defending, isn't he, by going on the wide line, as we saw Holroyd taking the lead in that direction in the second race of the club race. But it looks like that this time it was turned offensive by Mark Phillips, and Stephen Harpham couldn't find his way past, even though he was on the optimal line, you'd say, into the left-hander.
Indeed, yeah, as we see Matt Dorrington putting in the fastest lap of the race, a 109.2. As well, so really laying down the pressure on Jacob Toft, brand new to the Porsche Club of Great Britain, but in that 116 car and with the light blue roof. Now, of course, the 116, that's a number currently on the reigning British Touring Car Champions car.
It is indeed, yeah, Mr. Ash Sutton. Obviously, no link, I imagine, between the two of them. I could be wrong, but it doesn't look like there's any Pure Sims livery on the side of that Fury Sim Sport car, does it? That's for sure. So as Dorrington really puts the pressure on Tofts, it's going to be looking like a bit of a tasty battle, isn't it? And we're expecting some fireworks here in the Pro category.
We are indeed, and of course not too far behind as well. We have Austin Greatorex in 3rd position, and Austin super fast, returning to the championship, took season 2 off and is back now once again, and great to see him running in Porsche Sport colours as well in the 13 car. Now, I can't remember why it was there is now normally you would just say he was being obtuse because 13 is an unlucky number, but actually I think it's because it's Austin's birthday is the 13 number.
Well, it might be the birthday on the 13th, but which month, Austin? That's what we're all asking now, isn't it? It doesn't really help us at all.
The one thing, Austin is a fantastic driver, but he has a terrible choice in gearbox because he has a PDK gearbox.
I mean, each their own, you could argue, I'd say. In fact, his teammate, I believe Ryan Parkins, is part of the Porsche Sport. I could be wrong, actually. It doesn't look like his car is liveried up to Porsche Sport spec, but this little battle here, regardless, for fighting for the top 10, really heating up here, and it looks like, just like the club championship, everywhere you look, there's something to watch, isn't there?
There is, and this is something that we're not used to seeing, is Ryan Parkins back in the pack. Currently in 11th position, Ryan has been the dominant driver, really, over the first 2 seasons in the Porsche Club of Great Britain. Now, Jack, you'll notice there's a hippo on the side of that car, just on the rear haunches of that 911, just above the where the wheel is, and that is because that is Ryan's nickname. He is the King Hippo, because in every pride or every pack of hippos, everyone wants to be the King Hippo, but only one can be. And, well, maybe by being the King Hippo, of course, he has the number 1 in his car, but will somebody take that crown off him? Will he lose the title of King Hippo?
An amazing sort of not likeness. That sounds like I'm insulting his looks, doesn't it? But it's amazing, really, isn't it? The fact that you think you want to personify yourself as dominant and the king of something. I wouldn't go for Hippo as my first choice. Maybe King of the Jungle, maybe a lion or a tiger or a gorilla or something like that. But Hippo, I mean, they can be dangerous. They can be deadly, can't they?
They are officially the most dangerous animal in Africa. They are one of the most dangerous wild animals in the world. They are beasts, the King Hippo. Now, in Ryan's defence, he didn't come up with a nickname. I did. He kind of got the nickname, and I almost kind of feel bad now as well. But he did, for winning season 1 of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship. He won a hippo, not an actual hippo, a fluffy toy hippo, and he called him Peter Potamus.
Well, isn't that cute, isn't it? I mean, you do love the fact that when the drivers interact with the broadcasters as well, it is delightful. But Jacob Tofts, I cut to this little battle here because Dorrington actually caught up right to the back of Tofts. There was a 10th in it going into Ritchie's. Now it looks like that Tofts is, if anything, trying to break the toe and go defensive. So I think he's starting to feel a little bit of pressure here. We're only about 9 minutes into this 20-minute race, and all of a sudden Tofts is starting to fend already, and I think we're setting up for something really nice here with Greater X Tofts being a Porsche Sport sandwich with Dorrington being the meat in the middle.
Yeah, you've got to think that team manager Luke Holroyd will be very happy right now with a win under his belt in the club class and seeing his drivers fighting up the front. See Jacob Tofts for Porsche Sport and also Austin Greater X, and just not too far back down the road, Carl Sharkey in 7th position as well, another of our series organisers. Now, this is an unusual sight, Jack, because normally Carl is, we call Carl Caravan Carl, because he's normally getting a toe off somebody, but no such help today for Carl.
No, he's in a bit of no man's land, if anything, isn't he? He hasn't really got anybody ahead of him. He's got about 3 seconds to Patrick Charlton ahead. He's got 3 seconds to Ben Simpson behind. He's probably sat there thinking, what do I have to do to get a race round here? Although, being in 7th place, top 10, never to be sniffed at, especially this early in the championship. It's all about consistent points. And like you said, there are 8 evenings worth of racing, and in each evening there are 2 races as well. So, plenty of points up for grabs and plenty of positions to be gained. I'm pretty sure he'll be happy with the 7th place at the moment.
Indeed, and of course the driver up in front of him, Patrick Charlton, as well. Now, Patrick has quite a bit of real-world racing experience as well, and would you believe this, Jack, that Patrick Charlton used to rub bodywork with a 90s boy band heartthrob, Shane Lynch.
Really?
Yes, indeed.
I wasn't aware that Shane Lynch would actually race. What championship was that in?
It was in the Lotus Elise Sport Cup.
Oh, fantastic little championship as well, isn't it? With the brilliant rear-wheel drive, lightweight, and just enough power to make it interesting. Oh, fantastic to see. No wonder he's quite quick in the sim racing world then, if he's been real-life racing for that long. Indeed,
yes, he has. He's been real-life racing for a very long time, and yeah, that definitely shows for Patrick, and yeah, had a great first season in the Porsche Club of Great Britain last season. Ryan Parkins hasn't been able to move forward from 11th position, just taking his time here so far. Up ahead, he's got Gary Tall, and Gary is. We had in the off season we had a Porsche Club quiz, which I hosted, and Gary absolutely walked it.
Really?
It was embarrassing how much better he was.
Can I ask a question, Pete, though? How much research did you do for the quiz? Did you put it together? Or was it just things that you knew off the top of your head? Because, to be honest, it's encyclopedic, the things you throw out there.
It was a combination. I always like to fact check.
Well, I suppose you got to, obviously, otherwise people would start complaining, wouldn't they? A few drivers are coming off the track. Paul Cole has had an off-track here. What's happening? Oh, in fact, that's a rather big off-track, and we haven't gone far enough back, unfortunately, to see what the cause of that was. In fact, going into it now, we can have a look. It's under the bridge section. Oh, a big hit for Blinds to go, and into the side of Cole. That's a huge off, isn't it? Paul absolutely flying off. I'm surprised he's not off farming potatoes, to be honest. The distance that he's covered there.
Okay, through the potato field and then even reach the turnips at the back part there as well. Goodness me. Now, looking at that livery that's on Paul Cole's car. Now, you can see the main branding on there. That's often what, sometimes I find that's maybe what real world drivers think when they come into the sim and someone takes them off. That's maybe what they say.
Okay, yeah, I see it. I was going to read it out then. You almost got me. That would have been awful. That would have been fine. Ian Root straight on the blower. Get off my championship. Oh dear. Oh, almost at me. But let's focus back towards hopefully the racing and not my career-ending opportunities. Jacob Toft, sorry, still leading from Dorrington. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it, to be honest, this move, and Dorrington hasn't really been close enough to actually get the move done or even make any sort of meaningful approach for it. I've been keeping an eye on the timing, and to be honest, this is as close as we've seen them.
And look, here comes Matt Dorrington. He's got a great run here down the Bentley straight. He's surely close enough. They're side by side. Jacob Toft goes to the wide line, knowing that he can try and get it back for the switch back to Nelson's. He sticks his nose up the inside. Oh, they rub doors. And Matt Dorrington squeezes through. Wow, brilliant racing. Now, these guys, although they're running in different liveries right now, they do a lot of racing together and they do practice together a lot, so they know each other inside out. But Matt Dorrington hits the front with 6 and a bit minutes to go, but Jacob Toft, he's got plenty of opportunities to return the favour.
Yeah, I just want to have a quick onboard, purely because sometimes it is fascinating to see. The lap's only a minute long, so we'll just go for one quick lap on board with Jacob Toft, just to see the car control, and look how he closes into the braking zone of Richie's there. Don't hit the second apex too hard because you will upset the car. Going into Wilson, he looks up the inside. That's just to try and put Dorrington off. Dorrington knows far better than to do that, though. Dorrington also going for a slightly earlier apex, more conventional hairpin apex, with Jacob going for that late apex 8 to try and get the run onto the Bentley straight. Doesn't seem to have helped overly, but he is in the slipstream. Now, it's going to be a late lunge, is it? It's going to be a big lunge if he's going to try it. No. Much better racecraft than that coming out of Tofts at the moment into the left-hander and the right-hander. And is that just a touch wide by Dorrington? He may have had to come off the throttle. Doesn't seem to that much. That's how good at car control these guys are. Through bomb hole and around towards the right and into Coram now. Is there a difference in lines? No, they seem to be on rails, don't they, these Porsche Cup cars? So difficult, this braking zone now towards Murray's, and it doesn't even need any opposite lock, does it? Straight in the car, get gone, onto the exit, and what a fantastic example of how to not only chase someone in a Porsche Cup car, but also how to drive one of these around Snetterton. And looks like a move is coming, though, for Toss up the inside into Richie's. How is he going to get this move done? In fact, he has got the move done. No, he hasn't. Dorrington flying and keeping that momentum around the outside in towards the scary man, the scary tree, sorry. And look at that, Toss now trying to dive at the inside. He's going to ruin his run onto the Bentley straight. Pete, I'm going to explode.
Surprised you got any puff left, and all of that racing there, all that's done is allowed Austin Greatorex to get into the fight. And the critical thing is now, remember what we talked about in the Club Clash race, is the draft is massive on these cars. So you can see Austin Greatorex really using that to his advantage, getting the slipstream effect down the straights, but Jacob Toss back into the lead. And I tell you what, you've got to be very, very brave to go up the inside at Rich's. Goodness me, but he made it stick, and they both made it work, actually. In fact, Matt Dorrington had to be a bit of a willing partner. And my goodness me, we're going to be, about for your before laps to go now here at Snetterton. All his battling as well has brought Simon Povey into the battle as well. So, and Mark Baxter-Jones in 5th, not far behind either.
I mean, if we can get a 5-way battle for the race lead on the first race of Season 3 here, it'll be something to behold, and definitely something for the highlight clips as well. At the moment, it is already something to remember, isn't it? Even coming towards the end of the series, we'll be looking back and having a watch of this opening round, because it's been fantastic so far with Tofts, Dorrington, and as he said, Austin Greatorex joining in on the mix, and Simon Povey is actually just as close to Greatorex as Greatorex is to Dorrington now, so it is definitely a 4-way battle. Mark Baxter-Jones, a second odd back, he's 1.3 seconds back, but this battle is nowhere near over, don't get it twisted. We've got 3 minutes left, and that's going to be 3 full laps, I reckon.
It will be indeed, about 3 to go here at Snetterton, and Matt Dorrington trying to figure out how he's going to make his move on Jacob Toss. Now, he'll be well aware that Austin Greatorex has arrived on the scene, And that maybe just might change his strategy slightly. He might just keep that move up his sleeve till later in the race, or perhaps even on the last lap, because if he throws any more big moves, it's going to back them even further into Austin Greatorex and also Simon Povey and Mark Baxter-Jones, who are not far behind either. Now, just an update on our defending champion, Ryan Parkins. He's managed to edge his way into the top 10. He's up to 9th now, but still got Gary Tall in front of him, and actually perfect timing. Got a bit of a draft. Is he going to have a look into Rich's? No. Gee whiz. Well, the one thing about Ryan is he doesn't take on a half and half move. He makes sure that the move is clean and smooth. You do not see him taking on any maybe's aye, maybe's no, as we say here in Scotland. And oh dear, and tucks it in tight to the apex. Gary Tall goes a little bit wide, and that's going to give Ryan Parkins the exit out of the hairpin onto the Bentley straight they go. Ryan Parkins gets a great draft there on Gary Tall in towards Brundle's left-hander and then right-hander. Remember, Gary Tall will get the switch back, but Parkins late on the brakes there and gets it sealed up early. Great move.
Yeah, it was a fantastic move by Ryan Parkins, wasn't it? And it was a couple of laps coming, to be honest. It's taken him probably a little bit longer than he was anticipating, but up 4 positions into 8th place. He must not have had the qualifying he was hoping for, because as you said, Ryan was dominant in season 1 and 2, especially from what I watched anyway. He qualified in 12th place, so not ideal for him, but he is trying to make amends for it. We have to, of course, focus on this little battle here, because we are on to, I believe this will be the penultimate lap. As look at that, Tofts gets a little bit loose on the over rotation of the rear. That allowed Dorrington to close right up, but then Dorrington had to really come off the throttle. Austin Greatorex is like a shark smelling blood and water now, isn't he? He really wants to make it a Porsche Sport 1 and 2.
Yep, he certainly does. Yep, exactly. And, well, Matt Dorrington's going to try his best to try and spoil that party a little bit. And, well, these guys do, as I say, they do a lot of mileage together. All three of them, they're in the sim a lot. So, of course, MyDAS simulations, you'll see that both on Matt Dorrington's car and on the 2 Porsche Sport cars as well. That's Matt Dorrington's sim equipment company. So, if you're wanting to either get involved in sim racing or upgrade your existing setup, do give Matt a call, because he, as we say up here, sells the best of gear.
Yeah, well, I might have to give him a call as well. I feel a little bit dated sat here and thinking of my old Thrustmaster that I got about 10 years ago for 100 quid. Maybe I'll be on the blower to Matt Dorrington sooner rather than I'd probably my bank balance would like. But by the looks of it, it's probably just a chat about this great race, isn't it? Because it has been superb, to be honest. We are on to the final lap of the race now. The checker flag will drop at the end of this, so we'll keep it pinned and see how it turns out. Toff's already going defensive towards the bridge section. Dorrington tried to hunt him down. Greatorex isn't really anywhere near enough to try and make that move, but it's been Toff's from start to finish so far. A little bit of a blip, maybe 1 lap in 2nd place, but he's been pretty dominant apart from that. Dorrington's going to try and make a move potentially out of Murray's, but it's going to be very difficult now. A little bit too far away, so it looks like Toft, as long as he keeps it all nice and together, will be taking this first race victory, Pete.
Looks like it. He's got it sealed up, gets the exit of Murray's absolutely perfect. Back on the gas. Checkered flag is in the air here at Snetterton. Jacob Tofts wins on his debut here in the Porsche Club of Great Britain in the Pro class. Matt Dorrington in 2nd, Austin Greatorex in 3rd, Simon Povey on his debut in the series in 4th, and Mark Baxter-Jones 5th, Patrick Charlton 6th, Carl Sharkey in 7th, and your defending champion Ryan Parkins recovers from a difficult qualifying to finish 8th. And, well, this is the first race meeting where we have had the Pro and Club class. Before, it was all one race, but to have these 2 classes, Jack, this has just been absolutely superb action.
Well, I think I'm going to have to invest in some strepsils or some kind of lozenge, because if I'm ever back, obviously Chaz Draycott's going to be here for the remainder of this season in my seat, in the broadcast seat. However, it's fantastic. If he ever can't make it for a round, I'll be straight on the blower trying to get my name down, because it's been awesome. And to be honest, normally 4 races in an evening, you're quite often thinking, oh, maybe a little bit too much. You know, maybe 2 or 3 is going to be prime, especially 20-minute races. But I'm all about this. I'll be tuning in next week as a spectator, chatting it up in the comments, just because it's been fantastic. And to be honest, next week I think they're off to Laguna Seca, so I can imagine that's going to be awesome.
It will be. It absolutely will be. And I do remember when in one of our first races in the Porsche Club of Great Britain, we went to Laguna and it was a bit of a mess. But I'm sure it will not be this time. We've come a long way since then. So confirming our results then, what a battle. Jacob Toffs wins from Matt Dorrington and Austin Greatorex rounding out the podium. Simon Povey, an excellent debut for Mr. Povey in 4th, with Mark Baxter-Jones 5th, followed by Patrick Charlton, Carl Sharkey, our defending champion Ryan Parkins, Gary Toll in 9th, and Christian Sarutsa in 10th. Matt Camelio was 11th, followed by, now we've got another mystery driver here with just a second name alongside number 85, Ben Simpsons. Apologies, Ben. Johnny Elia was 13th, followed by James Cummings, Dan Bathy, Paul Riga, and another one. We've got an O'Connor in here, Mr. O'Connor.
It's Peter O'Connor, sorry.
Peter O'Connor, apologies. There as well, with Mark Bow in 18th. Steve Harpen was 19th, followed by Stuart Clark, Mark Johnson, Colin Wynn. Oh, we've got another one, Paul Cole, Byron Crawford, Steve Footers, Steve Kershaw, Chris Bowie, and Chris Byram, rounding out the 28 cars here in the club class. So the drivers are just out at the moment, just having their warm-up session to give us a chance to cool down. But, of course, now we go into the reverse grid scenario, Jack. And here in the Pro class, the reverse grid, it's going to be a heck of a lot more difficult.
It's going to be very difficult, isn't it? Because all of these drivers really know how to put their cars into defensive positions. Now, with any luck, we won't see as many argy-bargy moments, shall we say. But this is racing at the end of the day. As I said, you can go all the way up to F1 and you'll still get contact in the midfield. So with any luck, fingers crossed, that won't be happening here. These are pretty much the best of the best in terms of the Porsche races. So very much looking forward to seeing how they get to grips with charging their way through the field. There was a little bit of a difference between the front runners really and the sort of ones in about 25th to 28th. So you know, I'm looking forward to seeing how they deal with it, to be honest. Starting on the front row of the grid, obviously the winners from that race starting right at the back. It's fascinating, to be honest. Reverse grids, it's some people's cup of tea. Some people don't like it. No matter what your opinion is, though, it certainly does spice things up.
It really does. I have to say, I'm a big fan of reverse grids. I think, particularly, you know, in the British Touring Car Championship, where they have a part of the reverse grid, it's a lot of fun. And I actually think, you know, there's a lot of people saying that in Formula One, it would be wrong to have a 2 races with one in a reverse grid. I think it would spice up Formula One and just what it needs. I actually believe, but it's up for interpretation, isn't it? But this is going to be. We saw this in previous seasons where the reverse grid really settled the championship. There are a lot of drivers on very similar pace in race 1 and qualifying at very similar pace. But when we get to the reverse grid, this was really where Ryan Parkins earned his keep last season, and it'll be interesting to see. He'll be starting from just outside the top 20, so it'll be interesting to see if he can pull that off again.
Well, he managed to gain a couple of places, didn't he? I think 4 or 5 places by the end of the race, so it wasn't mega from Parkins. But as you said, if there's a few crashes up ahead, it's reading where to put your car, obviously, to try and keep it out of trouble as much as possible. And some people just have a natural knack for that. I mean, obviously, it's a bit of an experience thing. Realistically, obviously they say to aim for where the car has come from, not where it's going to go, and all that sort of thing. But it's going to be, you know, I'm looking forward to it, put it that way. And just like you said on the F1 perspective, I'm in complete agreement. F1 needs something to spice it up. They're talking about Saturday races being the qualification process into the feature race on Sunday. Apparently, I read recently in Autosport that that's probably the more likely route they'll go down. But to be honest, anything to mix that championship up will be worthwhile. And if it's a reverse grid, I think it's probably a little bit too much of a shake-up for a lot of the big wigs in F1, but it certainly would probably what the fans want to see.
Indeed, yes, absolutely, and I think it would really show that I think it would shake the sport up in terms of, you know, you have to have the complete package, because there's some drivers who can lead from the front, and if they can lead from the front well. I mean, Sebastian Vettel was very much like that. You know, when he was leading from the front, he was untouchable. But put him in a high pressure overtaking situation, and it can sometimes get a little bit overly feisty as well. But here in the Porsche Club Championship, we love our reverse grids, and this is how they're going to line up for it. Mark Phillips starts on pole position with Chris Byram alongside him. Chris Bowie will start from third, followed by Stephen Kershaw, Steve Footers, Byron Crawford, Paul Cole, Colin Wynn, Mark Johnson, Stuart Clark, Stephen Harpham, and Mark Bowe as well. Peter O'Connor and Paul Riga will start from the 7th row, followed by Dan Bathy, James Cummings, Johnny Elia, Mr. Simpson, Matt Camelio, Christian Zarutka, Gary Tall, Ryan Parkins, Carl Sharkey, and Patrick Charlton, rounding out the top 24. And finally, Mark Baxter-Jones, Simon Povey, Austin Greatorex, Matt Donington, and our Race 1 winner, Jacob Toffs, starting all the way at the back. So, we're just waiting on the Bernie Eccleston of Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing, Mark Phillips, to join us on the grid. But this is an unusual one here. Mark not showing in on the grid right now, and he's going to miss the start. So not a good start for Bernie. Chris Byram will be our de facto pole sitter then, and off we go for race 2, the final race of the day here at Snetterton for the pro class. Down towards Riches they go. It's getting very, very busy already. Chris Byram gets through very nicely. Chris Bowie in the Urban Outlaw liveried car. Very, very nice looking there. Down into Wilson's they go. Hard on the brakes. Oh dear, and you see Byron Crawford going a little bit wide there, but managed to get through safely. Good respect from most there.
Yeah, it seems to be semi-clean at the start of this race. I say semi because we do have 4 or 5 drivers who've unfortunately gone a long way backwards. But with any luck, we'll catch a replay and see what happened to them. We're just keeping on board with Byron Crawford now because they're going defensive against the Sim Pre liveried car of Paul Cole by the looks of it. And if you look further back, there's a real sort of good liveried cars all through the field, isn't there? Chris Byram at the moment is currently leading the way still from Chris Bowie, Steve Futures, Byron Crawford and Paul Cole still your top 5. Up 7 positions is Peter O'Connor here in the funky looking livery of the Porsche there. Peter really showing a strong start, as well as Christian Zaruta in the Brawn GP livery. I'm loving the Brawn GP livery. I said it before, but it just looks awesome. He's in a bit of a world of his own, because here is 3 wide moment, 2 wide moment now as Ryan Parkins and Mark Bowe go side by side, and that's a fantastic opportunity to get some real close action for these drivers. And who's gone off there?
Simon Povey's off at Riches. He just lost it on the outside there. Oh, I have to say though, we'll come back to Simon in a second. We'll love this new livery from Mark Bowe, South African green and gold, the colours of the Springboks, of course. Absolutely fantastic. Now, as we see Ryan Parkins diving up the inside of Mark Bowe, Mark decides just to give him a little bit extra room. Through he goes. Now, Mark Bowe in the number 11, Jack. We actually, every race, Mark Bowe's mum, Mrs. Bowe, listens and watches to the races. So, Mrs. Bowe, if you're watching, your boy's doing very, very well, and hope you're enjoying the racing so far.
Yeah, big at Mrs. Bowe. That's awesome to hear. It's always nice. I was doing the Endurance Championship the other day, and a driver came on for an interview. He said, "Do you want to do any shout-outs?" And he said he wanted to shout out his granddad, because he always gets up and gets someone to set up the stream at 4 in the morning in Australia just to watch him. So, love it when the family members get involved with the sim racing, I have to say. It does mean an awful lot to a lot of these drivers. Colin Wynn will be hoping to certainly do his namesake in the... he's currently in 7th place. Rotating well though around the Snetterton 200 circuit, just ahead of Harpham in the Momo car, and behind Peter O'Connor, who, as I said, has really a really good start just ahead. Jacob Tofts is up 16 positions now, up to 13th place, obviously starting in 28th. That's a pretty good start for him in the first couple of laps. We're only 3 laps in, remember, but the story has to be about Chris Byram and Chris Bowie, because to be fair, we covered a lot of the front of the field in race 1. Well, let's give these guys a shout out in race 2.
Indeed, yeah, absolutely. These guys are just showing the depth of the field, because remember, these guys started at the front of the reverse grid because they were at the back of race 1. So showing that how deep the talent is in this pro class field, because they are leading with confidence as if it was race one, as if they qualified there on merit. But Chris Byram doing a super job in this very, very jazzy looking car. Tell you what, kind of looks like the trousers that the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air used to wear.
Yeah, no, it's looking funky fresh as well, you could argue.
Lucy.
I'm a big fan, to be honest. I'm a big fan of Chris Byram's machine there. It's, I have to say, Chris Bowie, it's a bit more simplistic, but it's effective, isn't it? It's a good-looking car as well. And in comes Steve Futures, now in the neon green. Really, when he fills your mirrors up, you're certainly going to take notice.
Yeah, absolutely. This is very, very jazzy there with the TCE branding along the side of it there as well. Now, I have to say, yes, I do like Chris Bowie's machine in the Urban Outlaw Magnus Walker colour scheme as well. But Byron Crawford there, the blinds to go. Now, Chaz and I have been debating this for over a season now, Jack. Byron Crawford is sponsored by Blinds to Go. Now, we don't know what Blinds to Go is. Is it like a new COVID-safe sort of socially distanced, you go through like a McDonald's drive-through and you get like a click and collect for your blinds, or are they like portable blinds that you take, when you're in a bad hotel room and it's got really thin curtains, you just put up your blinds to go blackouts? I actually don't know. We must find out. If he wins, we'll get him in the interview room.
I think either way, you've just invented £2 million ideas. So I'm all for it. Even if it's neither of those things, I think you should just go for it. Maybe get in touch and see what they see if they fancy going into business with you, Pete.
They can make them for me as well. Oh, now side by side for the lead we go down the Bentley Straight once again. It's been the real hot spot for the overtaking manoeuvre so far here today at Snetterton. Bowie goes really, really late on the brakes, decides against it, but Chris Bowie squaring up against Chris Byram, saying, "Let's dance."
Yeah, and in fact, everywhere you look, there is action flying about. So just while these guys have separated themselves just as such, we'll have a look at Colin Wynn and this, what could be argued as, it looks like it could be a race lead battle here, doesn't it? Because there's a little bit of a gap. There's 3 odd seconds in front of Christian Sarzuta to Peter O'Connor. So it looks like, you could be mistaken for thinking this is the lead of the race. And to be honest, the battle for the lead of the race is just as close as these guys. So everywhere you look, brilliant racing. And to be honest, the sim racers, obviously, they jump on, they like a broadcasted stream and everything like that. But all they want to do is get into a good battle with someone that's a similar pace to them, it's nice and clean, and just enjoy themselves. And I reckon every single one of these drivers so far, probably within the top 18, because everybody else seems to have had an incident, are really enjoying themselves.
Indeed, a huge moment there for Ryan Parkins on the exit of Riches. Puts it on the grass, a very, very classic mistake at Snetterton, but he's under pressure because look, Jacob Toff's in 11th position. Don't forget, he's come from 28th on the grid, and there is not a mark on that Porsche sport car, but Chris Bowie's gone off, and so has now. I think they've come across lap traffic, Jack, and Chris Bowie has come off very much the worst as he has to just relinquish there. And, yes it is. It's a little bit of lap traffic, and Chris gets himself into the side of the number 20 car, which is the Simpre machine of Paul Cole, who is not lap traffic.
Yeah, I'm struggling to find an incident where maybe Chris Bowie ended up going a bit further down, but to be honest, I haven't been able to find it. So Paul Cole and Byron Crawford here are going very close at it, but Chris Byram, who still leads the race, it's now Steve Futures up to second place, but there goes Paul Cole going really wide, and all of a sudden he's been dragged into the battle that we were just watching before with Christian Saruta, and Colin Wynn.
Getting word from Porsche Sport. I tell you what, you think they just talk about Porsches? No. Blinds to Go is an online shop for blinds.
I think your ideas are more interesting, to be honest. But there we go. Thank you very much, Porsche Sport.
Yeah. Now, look at the back there. Ryan Parkins and Jacob Toffs going side by side out of Nelson's. Toff sweeps the nose off Ryan Parkins. And, well, we talk about, in the wild, you have the King Hippo, and there's always the young pretender who wants to be the King Hippo, but has to overcome the King Hippo first. And I just feel that is what Jacob Toffs is doing right now, just asserting his dominance, squaring up to the King Hippo, saying, you've had this championship to yourself for 2 seasons now, my turn.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be close. And in fact, they're still going at it, aren't they? As we cut back live into Richie's. Toffs on the inside and say hello because Steve Harpham is hoping to get in with the big boys, isn't he? To try and go towards Wilson now. It's going to be Parkins on the outside and Toffs. Parkins on the inside, Toffs on the outside. They've swapped over now, the inside outside, but they're still going side by side. Rubbin is racing at the end of the day, Pete, but this is fantastic stuff, and it's not even for the lead of the race.
Well, that is also something that happens in the wild. When the young pretender takes a pop at the King Hippo responds, and that's exactly what happened there. A brilliant counter move, but Ryan got he actually got really locked up on the brakes there. Lucky not to hit into the side of Jacob Toss, but they got through cleanly. But the very shiny number 68 TCE machine of Steve Futures, well, he is into the lead, and Chris Byram now in second, so recovered from that earlier incident that we didn't quite catch on camera. And the blinds to go driver of Byron Crawford up to third. What a race.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? I'm just trying to catch to see if we can find out where on earth Steve managed to do that move, but we'll see if we can come back to it a little bit later. But it is great. We've had so many different leaders of this race, and they've all been there on merit, haven't they? Oh no, Stevie's gone round. Oh no, at Wilson, and as we were complimenting him, and there we go, there's a contact between Paul Cole and Colin Wynn as well. That may cause a little bit of a problem. Luckily, they're just off the circuit, but oh, that's so gutting for the TCE driver. That's, yeah, really disappointing for him.
Oh, such a shame. He was doing so well. And and Ryan Parkins is off as well. Ryan Parkins has hit issues. So, what has happened to Ryan Parkins there in 16th spot now? So, maybe as a result of course, we had a couple of drivers off there. Oh dear. Well, it's all going on here. Let's see what happened. So Ryan loses on his own. Goodness me. That is, I tell you what, that is a collector's item.
Yeah, it's not good for Ryan, is it? His night hasn't been going his way, to be honest. For what has been a dominant driver over the past couple of seasons, it really hasn't gone his way. So as we're coming in, Steve Futures, it's just an over-rotation of the rear, isn't it? It is the classic 911 problem in terms of the sort of difficulty of these cars. So it's going for Steve, but I'm sure he'll be back for another reverse grid at some point in the future. He was running so well. But Chris Byram is now back on top. Byron Crawford in second place. He's up four positions. And look at that, Christian Saruta up 17 places into the top three.
Yeah, and he's doing some Braun GP-esque giant killing here as well. He's, of course, brand new to the championship is Saruta, but great to have him along. And what a battle. We're going to get, I just get the feeling, Jack, we're going to have another grandstand battle for the feature race win. We saw this in the club class with Luke Holroyd winning at the very last moment. Will we see it again here? Well, it's lining up for it. Now, looking at Mark Baxter-Jones, now I love this. This livery, although it looks very, very simple, the new 1110th Motorsport machine, this is actually a throwback to the IROC challenge, which used the original Porsche Carrera, where all the cars were identical and run by Roger Penske, and they had all the big racers of the time, and they kind of blocked their names on the side, just like Mark Baxter-Jones got there. So they're going to give different liveries for different rounds based on the IROC Championship. And a big thumbs up for me.
I mean, that's a really cool idea, to be fair, isn't it? It's again, that sort of creativity with the liveries is something that we really enjoy here at Simracersworld. So, yeah, if you're being broadcasted, you might as well put the effort into that sort of thing, mightn't you? There is a battle for the race lead, though. We've got to focus on the race leaders when they're going this tight in towards the bridge section, as Chris Byram and Byron Crawford getting so close to each other, aren't they? And as he said, a grandstand finish. Well, we're still 8 minutes or 7 minutes away from that finish, and it's already a grandstand race, isn't it? To be honest, it's been brilliant from from back to front, start to finish.
It certainly has. Now, we're getting reports. Jacob Toffs is in the pit lane. So Jacob Toffs, the number 116, has been in the pit lane. He's come out the pit lane. So what has happened to the driver of the 116 car? Jacob Toffs. Let's see if we get a look. Oh my. Okay, so he's back. Oh, that is so unlucky. A big wiggle there from Ryan Parkins, and that just, look at this, just gets onto the gravel on the outside, and then whack. Oh, a complete accident, but Jacob Toffs, nothing he could do there.
Yeah, and he just goes careering straight through, actually. He got really lucky that he didn't collect anybody else, but that is not ideal for Toff Scissor. He's going to be really gutted about that, and after what was a really strong race 1, it's not going his way in race 2. In second place, though, in race 1 was Matt Dorrington. Now, we haven't mentioned him at all, really, in this race, but he's up 22 positions, up to 6th place, and look, he's got Colin Wynn and Paul Cole setting his sights as well, so all of a sudden, he's potentially quite close to a top 4 position. And you never know, a podium place, although it really depends on how quickly he can move through the traffic. And he's going into Coram already to try and go side by side with Colin Wynn. And who's going to come out on top here? There's probably an easy opponent here, but I'll ignore it as Matt Dorrington goes through Murray's into the top 5.
Yeah, brilliant move there from Matthew Dorrington, who is nursing a little bit of damage on the front left-hand side of that Fury Sim Sport machine. Now, I can tell that it's not Luke Holroyd who's in charge of the Porsche Sport account tonight in our YouTube chat. Clearly, Father Paul has much better patter. He says it's not over until the final curtain falls. Well, or the it's not over until the blinds to go blinds fall.
I do enjoy that. I always like a little bit of a good pun. Always like a good pun.
Definitely. Look at this, Matt Dorrington. He's Paul Cole going very... Oh, well, I thought he was defending, and then he thought, no, I'll just roll over. Through you go. And Matt Dorrington from 27th on the grid up to 4th, and setting off in hot pursuit of our leaders.
Yeah, Colin Wynn's falling down, so I don't know if there's been a touch off the track maybe for Colin, but all of a sudden, after getting passed by Dorrington, he's now been passed by Paul Cole, Gary Tull, and Austin Greatorex. Dan Bethy is the next driver who's lining him up as well. So all of a sudden, Colin may be slightly out of his depth here in running in the top 10, but it may just have been a little bit of a mistake that caused him to lose all these positions. But here comes Dan Bathy, a driver who obviously qualified quite well, but then he didn't actually get a brilliant start in race 1. So I'm sure he'll be hoping for a little bit of an improvement. He's up 6 positions up to 9th, and he's trying to make that 7 positions up to 8th.
I have to say, as usual, Dan, one of our fastest drivers and one of the most stylish looking liveries as well there. Dan Bathy in the Sacred Coffee machine. I have to say, I am powered each and every day by Sacred Coffee pods for my Nespresso machine, and even better, they are completely biodegradable and compostable as well. So if you have an espresso machine, get onto sacredpod.com and order yourself some coffee, because it's absolutely excellent.
Yeah, by the looks of it, Byron Crawford's had his coffee tonight, because he's gone through into the race lead on Chris Byram. Christian Saruta, which is a name, by the way, I just love saying. I hope I'm saying it right, because I do love saying it, is in 3rd place, but he's actually got his eyes now on a top 2 potentially, and all of a sudden 1.7 seconds back. Now there is only 3.5 minutes left, keep that in mind, but 1.7 seconds back is Matt Dorrington. If Byram and Saruta start fighting, what's your money on in terms of Dorrington, Pete? Because he is going to be right there with them. He's got really good pace. In fact, in the last lap alone, he was half a second quicker. So with about 3 laps to go, if he keeps up that pace, or if they start fighting, he'll be right there. And in fact, he pretty much already is.
Yeah, he's closing on to them closing on to them really quickly. But I tell you what, Byron Crawford has played a blinder so far in this race here at Snetterton, but he has not got it done yet. He's still got Chris Byram and Christian Saruta in the 87 car with the... Oh, dear me, he's got quite a lot of damage though, has Saruta, on the front left of that machine.
He has, hasn't he? I don't know if that was involved with an earlier incident. I think, I can't remember if it was race 1 or race 2 now. They've sort of blended into one. They've gone that quickly tonight. But he did have, there was a spinner and he did go into the side of him. So if that was race 2, that would explain obviously the bit of damage. But is that wide go? The number 12 cars, Byron Crawford, is now losing out to Saruta. And in fact, he may well lose out to, is that a back marker that we're looking at? I'm not sure. No, it's Chris Byram, the race leader.
Yes. So Chris Byram goes through. So a mistake that just shows you a mistake from Byron Crawford allowed Chris Byram and Christian Saruta through into the top 2 positions. And they've got, I think there's a bit of argy-bargy there. I think Chris Byram got into a bit of contact and Matt Dorrington could get squeezed out here. Oh, Byram decides to show him some mercy. Matt Dorrington drag racing down the Bentley straight now. He might pick up a little bit of draft now from Byron Crawford's car into Murray's. They go, sorry, Murray's Brundle's, his former partner, Brundle's, and then into Nelson's. And wow, what racing this is. But Christian Saruta in the Braun GP car, bringing those colours potentially back into the winner's circle. But I think there was maybe a little bit of contact there.
Yeah, it's hard to find, really. And this could be the opportunity to see. No, it's not. That's the earlier move. But we haven't been able to quite get the angle there. But it does mean that Saruta is now in the race lead from Byron Crawford. Matt Dorrington, we said that he potentially would be able to get that podium position. Well, it's now the final lap of the race, and Dorrington is in third place now. So Chris Byron has really gone a bit further down, hasn't he? And he'll be gutted to miss out on the podium, and especially the race win. But at the moment, Zaruta, which I've just been confirmed is the correct way of saying it, fantastic because it's a fantastic name, is in the race lead. And I tell you what, Pete, it looks like he's going to take this checker flag if he can keep it all clean. But it's not over until the blind falls.
It's definitely not over until the blinds to go blind falls. We should make a note of our sponsor into Nelson's for the final time, and looks like Christian Saruta is going to hang on to this one with damage all at the front. This is a proper Braun GP-esque performance from the driver of the 87 car. Matt Dorrington has made his way through into third, so it'll be a double podium for Matt Dorrington, and that will give him the championship lead here in the pro class. But it's going to be Christian Saruta on his debut in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Championship. He is going to be your winner here at Snetterton. Absolutely superb, with Byron Crawford a highly impressive second and Matt Dorrington in third. But Jack, you've got to feel for Chris Byron. He was so close.
Yeah, I mean, he won't be feeling jiggy right now, even if his livery is that jazzy. It's not ideal for him, but obviously a top four is still pretty good going. Obviously, a reverse grid, it always gives a few of the drivers the opportunity to maybe score in that first win or first podium that they've had, but it wasn't to be. Maybe there's another opportunity later on in the season. A fantastic race either way by a whole host of these drivers. We'll be bringing you the full rundown of the results as soon as they're available to us, but everybody just take a breath. I think my Fitbit thinks I've just run a 10k, because that was some intense racing we just had.
Well, goodness me. Well, my Fitbit is saying that I'm sweating. Goodness, that was exciting. Properly exciting racing. Do you know what? Jack, it makes me so happy, because I remember, we're not even a year old in the Porsche Club of Great Britain sim racing paddock, and I always say go back and watch race 1 at Donington Park in the first season, and you will see a completely different whole kind of situation to what we have now in all 4 of those races, both in the club class and the pro class. Were absolutely superb, and I'm just so chuffed to watch it. But let's confirm our results then for the final race of the day, race 2 for the pro class. Christian Saruta, on his debut in the PCGB Sim Racing Championship, wins by 0.3 of a second from Byron Crawford, another relatively new driver to the championship. Brilliant podium for him, and Matt Dorrington doubling up on podiums for the day. Chris Byron was 4th, with Paul Cole in 5th, Gary Tall 6th, Austin Greatorex, 2 top 10s for Austin, good from him. Dan Bathy in 8th, Colin Wynn 9th, and Mark Baxter Jones was 10th. Chris Bowie finished in 11th, with Peter O'Connor 12th, Mark Bowen 13th, followed by Stephen Harpham, Mark Johnson, Simon Povey, Carl Sharkey, and James Cummings in 18th. 19th was Steve Futures, Patrick Charlton in 20th, followed by Stuart Clark, Steve Kershaw, Matt Camelio, David Simpson, Jacob Toffs, Ryan Parkins in 26th position, Johnny Ely in 27th, and Paul Riga rounding out our finishers.
Yeah.
So it looks like we have the first of our interviews, Jack. So why don't we start with our race 1? It seems a long time ago now. Race 1 club class winner, Danny Jones. So, Danny Jones, welcome to the Simracersworld TV commentary box. That was an extraordinary day's motorsport at Snetterton. But let's talk about your win. How does that feel?
I'm very happy, Peter, as you can probably imagine. You know, it's finally didn't come flying off. Although I did come flying off in qualifying, because I think that's. But yeah, it was good fun. Good fun. Really enjoyable, and yeah, really pleased.
Certainly, well, it was amazing to watch. Great battles throughout the day. Now, Danny, as you can probably guess, I want to talk about your livery because the Haribo Bear is back. But
Yes.
do I spot a pair of blue and red Brumos stripes on that car?
Yeah, it's a mashup, Peter. It's a Brumos Haribo mashup. It's kind of if Hurley Haywood did the VLN, and that's probably what the car would look like.
That is a tantalising prospect. Hurley Haywood at the at Nürburgring. That would be fantastic. Now, Danny, you're in the club class and one of the real championship, I would say, one of the championship contenders for that class. I mean, you've been in the PCGB sim racing paddock since the very beginning. I mean, just tell us about your thoughts about where we've got to with two classes with 28 competitive drivers in each.
It's pretty mind blowing, isn't it? Really, when you think about it. And I'm going back to early sort of lockdown one, and there was 9 or 10 of us going around Lime Rock in GT4s, Caymans or something, having a bit of a giggle just to see if all the buttons worked and everything, you know. And then it's just gone from strength to strength, isn't it? Really, so it's fantastic. Which I think is a lot to do with your efforts there, Peter, and you guys getting involved and, you know, making everybody make it more an event for everybody by doing the broadcasts and stuff, because I think that really does make a huge difference, and everybody wants to get their pals involved, and so it's good. Yeah, it's been fantastic, and it's so competitive now, as you can see the guys coming into it, and they start a little bit slow, but they get up to speed pretty quick, and that field narrows up pretty rapidly, you know what I mean? So it's been great fun. Really enjoyed it.
It certainly has. It has been special. Danny, thank you so much for coming to have a chat with us, and good luck in 2 weeks' time at Laguna Seca.
I'll do my best. Thanks, Peter.
So that was Danny Jones, and our race 2 winner from the club class, Luke Holroyd, is with Jack Oliphant.
We'll just be bringing in Luke. And Luke, welcome to the commentary box. Congratulations on not only the second race win, but also pole position. You must be fairly pleased with how it's all panned out for not only yourself, but Porsche Sport as a whole.
Yeah, hi Jack, hi Peter. Yeah, the quali was great. I think the people around me didn't get great qualies because all week in practice, myself, Oliver, Danny, Andy have all kind of been within a few tenths of each other, and I was surprised to see a bit of a gap and a little bit nervous. I'm not normally used to being at the front. Obviously, with the club, it's a little bit different. And yeah, just race one, Span made a mess of it, and I think the less we talk about race one, the better. And I tried to climb my way back up, and then there was an incident later on that ended up in the barrier, so it wasn't great. And then race two, you know, I've done the last 2 seasons on and off, so I know it can be carnage a little bit with the reverse grid, especially with a lot of new drivers. I just took it really steady, built my way through the grid. There was a few bits of contact. I felt like I had quite a bit of rear end damage. I don't think you could see it on the car, but it felt really loose on the rear. But yeah, just plodded away and caught up to the back of Amric, and he was brilliant. Like, his defending was superb. Just couldn't get past him. And then, yeah, I think it was the final lap up into Nelson, just, you know, side by side, a bit of door banging. But we had a chat after. We were both buzzing after it. And, you know, I'm glad it went that way because it could have ended in tears. But it was brilliant racing.
Well, I'm glad you guys are buzzing because we were absolutely heart racing in the commentary box. I think you're going to be responsible for my girlfriend and me having an argument because I've just been shouting so loud. It's been awesome. Well, I mean, what's your plans for Laguna Seca then? Do you hope, because obviously you're in the club category at the moment, you know, are you hoping to take the championship, you know, all the way to the end? Are you even thinking about that yet, or is it sort of you're just taking it race by race?
Oh, it's really early, isn't it? First race of the season. As I mentioned, you know, Danny Jones, Oliver, and a few others are definitely going to be up there, and it'll be a good battle. You've just got to take it steady. I think with the pro class, everyone's on a arguably within a second of each other. And the club class, you've got completely different levels. People new to iRacing and people who've done the last couple of seasons. So you've got to err with a bit of caution. Laguna Seca is a very tricky track. I actually quite like Laguna. We raced it in season 1, I believe, and I really like it. Qualifying, I'll try and do some more quali practice, and then probably need to improve on my lap 1 practice on cold tyres. It's a tricky car to run round on flat cold tyres, as iRacing doesn't give you tyre warmers. But just take it steady, and the guys running at the front, I think we've got a good camaraderie, and be a good race. It's a good track for the broadcast as well.
Yeah, well, the broadcast is certainly looking forward to race 2 reverse grid going into the corkscrew lap 1, that's for sure. With any luck, Luke, you'll be back having a chat to probably Chaz or Pete next week. And before I let you go, is there anybody you'd like to give a quick shout out to on what is the first round of the Porsche Club GB Sim Racing Championship?
Yeah, I think on behalf of everyone in Pro and Club class, just to thank everyone who's put this season 3 together. It's a lot of work. The guys just do it voluntary. Mark Phillips, aka Bernie, puts in a ton of work, and the people who work alongside him all volunteer the time. And it's doubled in size, and there's more people that want to join. So it's a ton of work. It's easy for us. We just do a bit of practice, rock up, and do the race, and expect it to all run smoothly. And there's a lot of background work. So to all the guys who are running the league, and to you guys on the broadcast.
Oh, you're making us blush, but as we'll echo those sentiments as well. Big up the organisers.
TV.
Hopefully the 29th they're going to open up again, so I'll get a bit of practice in. Have you been playing at all?
None at all. No, I haven't even been putting in the corridor either. I've been really bad actually. So I actually think there's certain places where you can go and sneak a couple of holes in here in Scotland. It's the one freedom we're allowed at the moment.
Well, I've got a trip to King's Barnes that we booked through Your Golf Travel. I just give them a bit of a push because they're one of my clients. But we've got a trip booked to King's Barnes, which we were supposed to do last year, which got cancelled because of lockdown, and that's at the end of April. So I'm hoping that it will go ahead, but obviously I don't know what's going to happen with that.
Well, fingers crossed. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Amrik, it was superb to watch you fighting up there at the front tonight at Snetterton, and I'm sure it won't be the last. Well done.
Thank you, mate.
So now, Jack, time to get on to our pro class drivers, and why don't we get our winner in, Christian Saruta. Christian Saruta, welcome to the Simracersworld commentary box. Now, you, sir, you've just strolled into the PCGB paddock and won on your debut. How does that feel?
Well, I'm sweating a lot. That was rather intense. Qualifying didn't really go as intended, but yeah, first race was nice getting into the swing of it. In the second race, felt a bit more confident and just had to give it a go.
Well, you certainly did for sure, and we loved the Braun GP paint scheme. That drive was a proper heroic underdog story. There, it was great.
Yeah, well, it matches my old race car, which was I used to race in the Caterham Championship, and I had the Braun GP colour scheme, so I only felt right to do the same for this.
Ah, I see. I was saying, I thought you were going to say it matches my old race car that I bought off Jensen Button.
Not quite.
Now, Christian, you're brand new to the Porsche Club of Great Britain sim racing scene. How have you found the paddock so far in the lead up to the season?
Yeah, it's been really good. There's some really friendly folks taking part. It's great fun. It's about as close to having a real race at the moment as you can get, and it's so tight. Everyone's so quick. It's unbelievable. There's certainly people a lot faster than me on the grid. I think I'm just going to have to take advantage when the quick guys start behind me in the second race.
Not a bad strategy, indeed. It's going to be tougher than ever for those coming from the back, that's for sure. Now, Christian, you mentioned there do a little bit of real world racing. Have any plans to get out on track this year?
Hopefully, I might do the comedy Citroen C1 24 Hours of Silverstone. That's the only plan I have. We're just in the process of buying a house and getting married this year as well, which is taking a substantial chunk of the budget. So, but yeah, we might get a couple in here and there, and then hopefully get back into the Caterham Championships in 2022 is the plan, all being well.
I see. Well, on the grounds of safety, by then you'll be a married man, and I think on the grounds of responsibility and safety, I think it's important that you do that Citroen C1 race to keep your eye in, because if you go back to the rusty, that's just dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do that.
Well, Christian, while you're here as a race winner in the Simracersworld commentary box, who would you like to say hello to here on the live broadcast?
Well, I think my mum's watching, because she always finds it entertaining watching these things. So, hello, mother at home.
Well, that's you. You're a man who knows what side his bread is buttered on, Christian. So I like that. Brilliant. Well done on the win, and looking forward to speaking again very soon.
Thanks very much. Cheers, guys. Appreciate it.
So one more, Jack, and I'm going to hand you over to Byron Crawford.
Yeah, and we'll hopefully have a nice little chat with Byron, who is in the comms box
Hello,
now.
Byron. Yes, my esteemed colleague Jack Oliphant is having some tech issues just now, so you're stuck with me, I'm afraid. I tell you what, that blinds to go car tonight was flying.
In the second race, it was a bit more successful than the first. I think I went into the first one hoping to be fairly steady, just to sort of get your eyeing a little bit, and that went drastically wrong when I missed my braking point, and unfortunately took out Paul. But race 2 was a little bit more solid, so really happy with that.
Absolutely, and of course, Byron, you joined the Porsche Club of Great Britain sim racing paddock last season. I mean, before that point, how much experience in sim racing, or real world racing for that matter, did you have?
Frustratingly, quite a lot in the sim racing side, but sort of hit and miss. So don't really do enough racing, I don't think. So this season is to concentrate on trying to be a little bit more solid and consistent. But done a few track days in the real world and a few sort of driving advanced track days. And trying to, obviously, once lockdown clears, I've already booked on a few this year, so to try and get a bit of real world in. But just love racing, to be fair.
Absolutely, don't we all? Now, I have to ask, because Chaz and I have debated over it for a long time. Do tell us about blinds to go, because we have talked nonsense about all kinds of things about what blinds to go could be. But now's your chance to set the record straight here on Simracersworld TV.
To be fair, I found in season 2, I found all of your puns quite good, actually, and it's obviously very good advertising for us. But we're actually the UK's leading online blinds retailer, and if you go to Google and type in window blinds or whichever, you'll find us at the top. And yeah, so that's pretty much us.
there's definitely a pun in brand visibility and blinds. I need to go back to the drawing board on that one, so I can I can get that. Well, I'm glad you appreciate the our nonsense in the commentary box here, Byron. Now, before we let you go to go and enjoy a brilliant podium here today at Snetterton, who would you like to say hello to on the live broadcast?
Just the rest of the guys, really. I think it's just such a tremendous group of guys, and obviously this year we've split it into two categories, just because it's become so popular. And pre-season we've done lots of testing. All the guys have various people are hosting different nights. There's people sort of offering track walks, driving advice. So it's just brilliant how it's all come together. So I think it's just great to be part of that community, and it's long may it continue.
Echo that sentiment more. Byron, congratulations on a great podium finish tonight in the pro class, and looking forward to seeing you out there again at Laguna in 2 weeks' time.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
So that is all we have time for tonight on Simracersworld TV. We hope you enjoyed this opening round of the Porsche Club of Great Britain's Sim Racing Championship Season 3 as much as we did calling the action. We'll be back same time again, 7:45 GMT, in a fortnight's time for a race around Laguna Seca in California. Don't miss it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.